Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I declare this briefing session open at 6:30 p.m. The proceedings of the briefing session are electronically recorded in accordance with the Council's recording and live streaming of council meetings council policy, except for those matters of a confidential nature. The guide in determining those matters of a confidential nature shall be in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995. Please note, briefing sessions are audio recorded only and audio live streamed only in accordance with Council's policy. Recordings will also be made available on the City's website following the meeting. Members of the public gallery are reminded it is a requirement under the Meeting Procedures Local Law to act in a courteous and respectful manner while in the Council chamber. You are asked to show respect to anyone who is exercising their right to ask questions of the Council and/or deliver public statements. I ask that respect extend to such people whenever they are on City premises while waiting for or having taken their opportunity to ask questions or deliver statements. Under the local law, a person must not create a disturbance by interrupting or interfering with the orderly conduct of proceedings. This includes expressing approval or dissent by conversing or by any other means. Using personal electronic recording devices to record anyone or the meeting is also prohibited under the City's local law. I'd also like to remind members of the public to show proper respect to the City's elected members and staff during these proceedings. The next item of business is declarations of interest. I've received a couple in writing, which I'll read out first. The first is from Councillor Vinciulo. It's for item 12.1, Sorrento Surf Life Saving Redevelopment Project. It's an interest that may affect impartiality, as Councillor Vinciulo is a vice patron of Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club. The next is for Councillor Matthew Count. It's for item 12.1, Sorrento Life Saving Redevelopment Project. It's an interest that may affect impartiality, as some of the members are known to Councillor Count, plus vice patron of the club. The next is for Councillor Fishwick. It's for the same item. It's an interest that may affect impartiality, as Councillor Fishwick is a vice patron of Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club and a senior assessor for Surf Life Saving Western Australia. I have also declared an interest that may affect impartiality for the same item. It is that I'm a vice patron of Surf Life Saving Western Australia. Councillors, do you have any other further declarations of interest? No? Thank you. We then move on to deputations. There's rules set for deputations. Deputation requests must be made in writing and addressed to the Mayor. A period of up to 15 minutes is set aside for each deputation. Deputation shall not exceed 5 persons in number, and only 3 of those persons shall be at liberty at any time to address the elected members. I have approved 5 deputations for this evening. The first deputation is for Mr. Mike Norman, and you have 12 minutes if you'd like to come forward. And it's for item 12.13, yes, report on the feasibility of reducing chemical weed control.
Yeah,
thank you, Mr. Norman.
Michael Norman, A Stockdale Avenue, Sorrento. I'm talking about the item 12.13, report on the feasibility of reducing chemical weed control. I would like to put an alternate view. Next slide, please. I'm representing the Joondalup Coast Care Forum, which is an umbrella group for the coast care groups in the city. Next slide, please. I am familiar with weed control. I've done 45 years of weed control in a whole variety of circumstances. I've used herbicides. I mainly do manual weeding. I'm weeding tomorrow, I'm weeding on Thursday. At this time of year, I weed every week. Next slide, please. The community wants change. Have a look at the question, to what extent do you support the city's use of chemical weed control? Strongly disagree, has the majority. It's not just about glyphosate, it's chemical weed control. Next slide, please. I noticed that the recommendation, the officer's recommendation, is to use pre-emergent herbicides within the arterial and distributor road network and selected areas. They are actually, as far as I know, all of them are Schedule 6 poisons. Glyphosate is a Schedule 5. So you're replacing one poison with a more poisonous substance. You might remember that Esplanade was banned at the December meeting 2021. That was because it pollutes groundwater, and I suspect the others that the city may use will do the same. Next slide, please. I noticed in the weed management plan Syrian 4G is a pre-emergent which is listed there, contains diclorbenol, which pollutes groundwater. And groundwater can go into drinking water, it can come up in bore water and gardens, etc. Okay, I also notice there's no mention of bow and arrow, which is used on sporting fields. Next slide, please. Herbicides are important, but they have to be used very carefully. There are many herbicides used in Australia which are banned in 70 countries worldwide. Next slide, please. Here's an example of some herbicide use in the city. Fleabane sprayed on the left. It was hit and miss. Some are killed, some are not, and the ones that are not set so much seed that you've wasted your time. You're just going to get them next year. On the right, they're killing weeds that I can hardly see. You can see the herbicide on the path. Notice there's no marker dye. So example of poor workmanship in using herbicides at the City of Joondalup. Next slide, please. Certainly one we support is the use of steam, but to be more efficient, steam needs to be used in combination with mechanical weeding, manual weeding, which means that the contract must be set up for that. Next slide, please. City of Fremantle agree, look at the sign, caution, mechanical and steam weeding in progress. Next slide, please. If we look at the weed on the left-hand side, growing on the curb line, at the City of Stirling, a person was trying to sizzle it for 30 seconds. I cut it out in 1 second with a square-bladed shovel right at the root line. It does not come back. So there are cases where it is better to actually use mechanical weed control, far more efficient. You're not using all that water, all that energy producing steam to sizzle a weed for 30 seconds. All right, next slide, please. The better way to reduce glyphosate use overall is slashing and mowing. This is not about killing weeds, this is about cosmetic weed control, cosmetic treatment to make weeds acceptable to the general public. Next slide, please. Here's an example of a block full of weeds. This is in Sorrento. You'll see on the left, full of weeds. On the right-hand side, one side of that double block, which is in the laneway area of Sorrento, has been mown. And that's all that needs to happen. It doesn't need herbicide. Next slide, please. This happened on the pour opposite my place on Friday. Very well timed. City of Joondalup came and slashed the pour and cut the weeds down to make it visually acceptable. The one thing they did, which I think they didn't need to do, was rake all the slashed grass down to the end of the path and load it up in their truck. All that needs to happen is for the slashed grass to be moved to the side to desiccate, and within 2 weeks it's gone. Next slide, please. I was recently in Europe and I saw a lot of slashing with all sorts of slashing machines. Everywhere I saw slashing machines, I didn't see herbicide use. Next slide, please. And the other way to reduce the use of glyphosate is to eradicate weeds before seed set. And you'll see a comment there by Sabrina Hahn, who's the gardening guru. The most important strategy in weed control is to eradicate before flowering or seed production. Difficult to achieve with herbicides because the peak weed season is in winter and spring when it's often too wet or too windy to spray. But mowing, slashing, hydrothermal, manual can be done in any weather. Next slide, please. Here's a roundabout, glyphosate being applied, and you can see that the brome grass has already set seed. Waste of time, all right? And again with the pour, this was the same pour last year that I mentioned. They sprayed the grass after weed seed set. You'll get exactly the same weed seed set the following year. It's an endless cycle of herbicide application. Not very good for the environment. Next slide, please. Natural areas is a different kettle of fish. In natural areas, you do actually want to control or eliminate weeds altogether. But most of the methods mentioned, steam, pre-emergence, slashing, can't be used in natural areas. You actually have to kill or remove the weeds in some way. Next slide, please. So on the projects I work on, the city has come in and done the initial spraying where it's just mass weeds. It's pointless doing manual weed control. And then the next year we transition to manual weed control. So it's not an endless cycle of herbicide application. Next slide, please. And that shows that after a year and after 2 years, the same bank revegetated with native plants, because in the case of natural areas, you want to replace the weeds with native plants. Next slide, please. The city says it manages 600 hectares of natural bushland. Well, the management doesn't involve much weed control. It involves spraying some of the worst grasses like veld grass, but most of the other weed species are not tackled by the city. The city is not resourced to do that. So the management is a very high-level management of putting fences around it, spraying veld grass and doing fire breaks. That's basically what the city's management of natural areas is. Next slide, please. But the friends groups actually do a lot of manual weeding, and we've developed various tools and things to do that efficiently. The weed management plan says manual weeding creates big holes. That is rubbish. The proper way to manually weed does not create big holes. So it shows that the city doesn't understand manual weeding. Next slide, please. So I've been told, it says in the weed management plan, physical weed control is only for small infestations. Well, we've done 2.5 kilometres of manual weeding. We've already eliminated 13 weed species. We are the first friends group to totally eliminate marram, grass and seaweed. And that has been done manually, mainly manually. Next slide, please. So some JCCF views for your consideration. The office recommendation to use pre-emergent herbicides is not safe for the environment. It doesn't meet community expectations. It should be rejected. Steam hydrothermal should be supported for certain circumstances, but should be used in conjunction with mechanical weed control. No new herbicide should be used, including trials without the approval of council. And the friends groups who do a lot of manual weeding, their annual grants are not being fully indexed, not indexed at all this year, and the additional help we get is being cut back. So the area that is doing manual weed control is being cut back, which does not seem to be in accord with the intent of reducing glyphosate use. And finally, it would be good if the city's natural environment team specifically had a few more people to actually do manual weeding in the reserves, because at the moment they're not actually resourced to do that. So thank you very much. That's an alternative view on reducing chemical use in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. I think we've got about 1 minute left, so probably enough time for 1 or 2 questions. Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Norman, for your presentation. So I take it, in your opinion, there is no appropriate use for pre-emergent herbicides in our city's management plan?
There may be a role for it in fire breaks, because fire breaks have to be pretty bare. However, my concern with its use in fire breaks, it could impact on the adjacent natural vegetation. But that would be one of the... I certainly don't see it having any role on medium strips or arterial roads, verges, medium strips, because you actually need the weeds there to hold the soil together. What you need to do with the weeds is make them aesthetic by mowing them down.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's just 20 seconds if anyone's got a very brief question. Councillor Gould, very quickly.
Yeah. Thank you. That was an excellent deputation. Thank you. How many volunteers do you have that are doing all that work along the coast?
On average, we have 8 volunteers a week for 2 hours.
Yep.
So with that resource, we're able to manually weed the entire area.
That's pretty good.
We have had the city do a bit of grass selective this year, but it doesn't happen every year. But mainly that job is left to us. The city is not involved.
Yep.
And 800,000 plus movements on the shared path overlooking that area each year. So it is a valuable passive recreational resource in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Norman.
Yeah.
That's it
Thank
for your
you for your
deputation.
hard work.
Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. We then move to Ryan Chin, and this is on item 12.1, Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Redevelopment, and you'll have 12 minutes when you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Rhiann Chin, and I'm a member of the Board of Management of Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club. I've been a member of Sorrento since 2013, a parent volunteer since that same year, a patrolling member since 2016, and a board director since 2023. And this matters to me because my family, my husband, my 2 teenage daughters, have had more than a decade of opportunities through this surf club. Opportunities to learn, volunteer, compete, patrol our beaches from Beach Road up to Pinnero Point, build friendships and be part of a community where we belong. And I want current and future residents of the city to have the same chances we've had. Put simply, I want people in Joondalup who choose to and who are interested in to be able to join their local surf club. So tonight, my intention is that I want to give you some insight into our operations, and a couple of my fellow board of management members will follow me, growth, and in particular who our current members are, where they live, and what that tells us about the facility that this community will need in the future. So our most recent annual report recorded 2,459 members. Because registrations for the new season are open, we ran a membership report last week, and you can see that's now 2,526. So it's a moving feast at this time of year. But you can see that we've already grown beyond the numbers that were projected, well, in the reports of 2,200 or certainly back in 2022. And importantly, 1,835 of our members, almost 3/4, live within the city of Joondalup. And we ran the report by suburb. We have members in every one of the city's 22 suburbs. So next slide, please. Unsurprisingly, the largest numbers are close to the club. We have 405 members from Sorrento, 390 from Duncraig, 235 from Hillary's, and 208 from Padbury. The reach is broader than that, in particular in the south. Obviously, Mullaloo Surf Club serves the north of the city. We have 109 members from Greenwood, 75 from Kingsley, 50 from Woodvale. And I'm not going to repeat every 22 suburbs. I don't need to tell you what they all are, but we have members from Craigie to Iluka. So while our building is Sorrento, the community using it not only serves everyone on the beach, we come from right across the city. Next slide, please. I think the age profile of our members is perhaps even more important when we think about the future. We currently have 542 members aged 5 to 9, 404 aged 10 to 14. Now, I've probably been a bit remiss. These are not our exact nipper bands, but over 800 nippers for the past few years because we do have to cap that number so we can manage children on the beach. And we have 212 aged 15 to 19. So our youth membership has been a real focus and success story over the past couple of years, which means that almost half of our club, or about 46%, are under 20. And at the other age of the age range, we have 128 members aged 65 and over. So it's a genuinely intergenerational community. And so the facilities that we build need to safely support both children learning surf safety, young people becoming lifesavers, and volunteers, families participating together, as well as older residents who may choose to be silver salties, remaining active and connected. Next slide, please. I have heard our club referred to as a boys' club, so as a board member, a female board member myself, I was particularly gratified to see that we're not. Women and girls now make up 1,282 of our members and are over half of our club. And that participation is particularly strong amongst our younger members. Girls make up 53% of nippers aged 5 to 12 and 55% of our youth cohort. And it matters. It certainly matters to me, but we want girls who begin in nippers to see a place for themselves throughout the club and throughout surf lifesaving as young lifesavers, competitors, coaches, volunteers, and future leaders. It also means that our future facility needs to reflect the community we actually have, adequate and inclusive change rooms, training areas, and operational spaces, and not an optional extra. And it matters because we really do know that demand is already exceeding capacity. With 15 to 20 people that might be accommodated in our change rooms, and they, like most of their age, are weighted male. And you've heard the numbers, you've seen the position statement. We've got more than 500 patrolling members, over 800 nippers. If you go into our boat shed, rescue equipment and craft is crowded into one boat shed, and hundreds of people undertake bronze medallion, surf rescue certificate, and first aid training through a facility with only one small training room. They're not new pressures, and we haven't just sort of thought about them today. When we approached Lottery West last year, thinking that the short field might be a couple of $1 million, but we approached Lottery West for additional funding, and part of that case talked about an anticipated 25% increase in patrol hours that we've pretty much already reached. Greater rescue equipment capacity, more than doubling the number of people we could train at one time, and significantly expanding our community education programs. We do understand the financial position the council faces, and we're very clear that we're not asking the council to fund a $10.5 million shortfall. There clearly needs to be a rethink and a redesign. But I'm here to say that reducing cost and reducing capacity don't necessarily have to be the same thing. A redesigned facility needs to be affordable, but it also needs to work to provide real community value for money for our surf club community. So our request is quite simple. Please work with us to test any redesign against the community we are actually serving today, and make reasonable community for the community that will be here tomorrow. Look at the 2,500 members we have now. Most of them are city residents. They come from every suburb in the city. They're children and young people already coming through the club. There's strong participation of women and girls, and our older members continue to participate, volunteer, and stay connected. I really hope we can get to a point where we can start to build a facility and get one that serves the city for decades. It's a question about not only whether it can accommodate Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club now, it's whether the City of Joondalup residents in 2036, 2046 and beyond will still have the opportunity that I've had, my kids have had, to join, learn and be safe in the ocean, remain active and belong. So that's the future capacity I hope the council will protect by working closely with the club through this redesign. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. There's probably the opportunity for a couple of questions. Councillor Chester, you've got your mic
Yes,
on
thank
for a
you,
question.
Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. Very interested to see the distribution of members across our suburbs. But could you tell me what percentage of your total membership, every category, are actually residents or ratepayers within the city?
I can't tell you who are residents, but I can tell you that 1,835 are resident in the city, and that's 73%. Obviously, the children don't pay rates, but...
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you, through you. Just one for me. Thank you for your deputation. I'm sure it provided a lot of clarity this evening, especially when it comes to statistics and my questions about inclusivity. I think the club does a magnificent job in that capacity. Could you just share a little bit more of what that looks like from a city perspective at an inclusive level?
Yeah, I was remiss, or I think Mark is going to touch on it. One of the, like a couple of the great initiatives just recently, since I've been a board director, we've welcomed Sharon Wood-Kenny as our patron, and if you get the chance to come down over the first week of or month of the season for the kayak cap, I think that's so important about recognising those that have cared for the lands and waters for so many years. Our Dolphins program was, I think, the first inclusive program in Western Australia, and it was developed by a couple of our members whose children had disabilities and they wanted them to be welcome on the beach, and that's grown now and is wrapped into Surf Life 7 WA's All Abilities program. And we've even had inclusive athletes at Aussies. That's my role as competition director, and again, we want Sorrento to be a club where everyone belongs, and we think we're very close. I should have mentioned the Silver Salties. I think I did.
Thank you. There's probably time for one last question. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
The next person on our list is Mr. Mark Lang, if you'd like to come forward. It's also item 12.1, Sorrento Surf Life Saving Redevelopment Project. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the councillors for the opportunity to address you tonight on item 12.1. My name's Mark Lang and I serve on the board of directors at the Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club. I serve as the lifesaving director. My area of responsibility essentially is about patrolling and training and education. In addition to serving on the board, I'm a senior trainer and assessor. I'm a patrol captain. When we're like many other Sorrento families, I regularly patrol the beach with my wife and my 2 teenage daughters. Before I get going, our club president and business and marketing director, Rob Doherty and David Tasker, are unable to attend this evening, send their apologies, and have asked myself, Rian and Latif to speak to you this evening. I'd like to use my time to respond directly to something raised in public commentary in previous council meetings. The suggestion that because our club is as a membership structure, it should not be considered a community facility in the way that a library or a community centre is. We think this view misunderstands what a surf lifesaving club really does, and we'd like the council to weigh the full picture as it considers the item. Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club has been a part of the community since 1958. Today it's one of the largest sporting clubs in the city of Joondalup, and as Rian touched on, our membership now stands at almost 2,500 people. This past season, our patrolling members completed a club record of 10,200 plus patrol hours, an increase in around 200 hours from the year before. Our patrol footprint includes the Sorrento Main Beach, Hillary's Boat Harbour, and the Sorrento Northern Beach, which is the smaller beach between our surf club and Sorrento, Hillary's Boat Harbour. Over the season, our patrols logged more than 1,050 preventative actions on top of rescues and first aid responses, safeguarding tens of thousands of beachgoers. None of those actions depend on whether or not the person we help holds a club membership card. Our public safety role extends beyond our own beach. Our club conducts up to 5 abalone patrol operations each season, protecting recreational fishers during one of the highest risk aquatic activities in this state. Our facility is also a state and national asset. We host the Shore and Partners WA Race Week, the largest surf ski event in the world, bringing elite athletes and international visitors to our stretch of coast. As Rian mentioned, our membership footprint extends well beyond Sorrento itself, drawing members from as far as Yanchep and Alkimos. The building is not a local club room. It is a regional safety and community piece of infrastructure. Our community role goes further still. Rian did touch on it, but I'd like to just spend a moment to talk about our Dolphins program. Our Dolphins program has adapted surf lifesaving activities for people with intellectual, physical and other disabilities. It's been nominated for a state award for community engagement. And our Silver Salties program supports the health and social connection of more than 60 members aged 60 and over. These are not competitive sporting programs, they're a community service delivered by volunteers at our club's cost. It's also why the city's own 2003 Active Reserve and Community Facility Review placed our club at the top of the priority list for redevelopment, ranked well above other well-regarded facilities, including Admiral Park. We didn't ask for that ranking. It reflects the city's own assessment of where the community need and community benefits are greatest. We're conscious too that the officer's report raises the risk of the project not proceeding, in part because of member expectations, but also because the operational service we provide to the public. We would ask the council to weigh that finding for what it is. This is not a discretionary clubroom upgrade. It's a public safety infrastructure that happens to be built, staffed and run by volunteers on the city's behalf. It's not about replacing an old building. Our own funding case for this redevelopment set out a projected 25% increase in total patrol hours, up to 10,600 annually, which we're very close to meeting already. It'll allow us to extend patrol coverage beyond peak weekend hours. Our case set out storage for 6 rescue boats instead of 4, and a 30 to 50% reduction in deployment time in an emergency. It sets out for training rooms that will let us to double the number of people we can train at once, including more than 500 school and community members reached through education programs each year, up from a fraction of what that is today. This is the public safety return the project can deliver, and it's why we ask the council not to lose sight of it in a conversation that is understandably focused on cost. Our request tonight is straightforward. As the council works through the redesign and funding pathway, we ask the club facility be recognised as a public safety infrastructure serving the whole community, not as a private club room. That distinction should inform how cost, urgency and scope are weighed as this project is reshaped. Thank you all for your time this evening. I'm happy to take any questions if we've got time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Lang. We've probably got time for a number of questions. I'll go to the ward councillor first, Councillor Vinciullo, then Councillor Pizzey. Councillor Vinciullo.
Thank you, through you. Thank you for your deputation, Mr. Lang. Very good. Just a quick one for me. Obviously, training is your forte at the club. Can you just give us a bit of insight into the challenges with the current training room facilities?
Yep, our current training room is approximately the size of a large family bedroom. I'm sure everyone here can understand that performing CPR and first aid on a human takes up space, particularly if they're my size. At the moment, our training room's only big enough to really do 2 people at a time for CPR training. So we regularly use the hallway, the office, the boardroom, etc. To allow us to expand our training. It's right now just completely inadequate for what we need. We need to re-qualify up to 500 lifesavers every year, which is part of the process so that all of our patrolling members are up to date with the latest patrolling first aid and CPR techniques to allow safe and proper beach patrols.
Thank you for your insight.
Thank you. Councillor Pizzey.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your deputation. Just in regards to your Dolphins group, how is the facility, how the facility stands now? Is it affecting their accessibility and ability to participate?
I couldn't answer whether it affects their ability to participate, but it definitely affects accessibility. Rian mentioned our boat shed is very small and crammed. In terms of wheelchair access and other things, it's quite difficult with all our equipment sort of jammed into every corner. So wheelchair and other people with less able ability to walk do have issues mobilising around inside our club. Yeah.
Thank you. Any final questions for Mr. Lang? Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We then go to our next presenter, which is Sheikh Ahmad, if you'd like to come forward. And whenever you're ready, you have 12 minutes.
Hello and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, councillors. Thank you for hearing us this evening. My name is Latif Ahmed, and I'm the Junior Director for Sorrento Surf Lifesaving Club. My role at the club is to manage and oversee the safety, engagement and development of 850 children, so that's 850 nippers, and around 150 volunteer age managers, coaches, beach and water safety parents. So all up about 1,000 members involved in our nipper activities throughout the week. Rob Doherty, our president, spoke to the council on the 28th of July, but unfortunately cannot be here tonight, and I'm here to build on what he said at that point. That our club is, the club has worked with the city for 13 years, that our members have contributed through levies and volunteer services, and that we want to keep working constructively with the city to deliver this project. I'd like to be clear about what we are and what we are not asking for from the council tonight. We are not asking for the council to fund a $10.5 million shortfall that was identified in the officer's report. We are accepting the project in its current form is too expensive and needs to be refined. We are not here to defend the $30 million figure or to ask ratepayers to close the gap. What we are asking for is a genuine seat at the table as this refinement happens. The written answers provided to residents before the 28th of July meeting did not confirm that the club would formally be involved in any redesign or value management process, or that our agreed operational requirements would remain the minimum brief. Our mayor's alternate recommendation on the 28th of July would have addressed this by requiring the CEO to engage with club representatives during the redesign process, and by looking at location, orientation, alternate delivery models. This recommendation was not adopted because the item was deferred before the vote was taken. We ask that whatever comes back to you on the 20th of August includes, at minimum, the same commitment to work directly with the Surf Lifesaving Club. In practical terms, we are asking council to protect the key operational needs of the club, not the fixed construction method. These include direct beach access, just lost myself for a second, enough storage for rescue and patrol equipment, a single-story scale that suits the foreshore settings. The clear separation from the commercial tenancy is important to us too. We are not asking for a particular floor plan, but we are asking for any cost reduction design to allow us to continue doing our job. I also want to be clear on a figure that was raised. Our president referred to $2 million Lottery West funding on the 28th of July, while the city's table records $1.5 million. Both figures are correct. The 1.5 is the Lottery West contribution to the building itself, which appears in the city's table. The remaining 500 is a separate Lottery West fit-out allocation, which Lottery West is entrusted to the club directly, not to the city. This is why it does not appear in the city's construction figures. Together, that makes the $2 million our president referred to. I can confirm that the city has now met its own $1 million funding commitment for this project in full, as recorded in our audited accounts. I also want to state plainly that we support the motions that come back to Council on this basis. We understand that declining the current tenders and revoking the 2022 and 2023 design approvals both require an absolute majority. That means support from more than half of the elected members, not simply those in the room now. We are not asking for you to abandon fiscal responsibility. We're asking you to combine this fiscal discipline with a clear, collaborative process, and we ask every elected member to support motions to do both when they return. Finally, we ask for clarity on timing. This matter has now been before Council twice without a resolution. Our members, now nearly 2,500, along with our volunteers who patrol Sorrento Beach and Hillary's Boat Harbour every week, are waiting for a clear pathway forward. The city has already invested over $1.2 million in design and procurement for this project. We understand and respect those who previously voted for a deferral. In our view, they did so to give everyone, including us, the opportunity to seek more information, speak with our stakeholders, evaluate options, and form a view on the best path forward. Having now engaged further with the city, our board and stakeholders, we have formed the view that it is time to move forward with the process under a new framework and not to defer again. We ask Council to use the time between now and the 25th of August to work with us so that a deliverable, properly scoped project can be resolved at that meeting. Thank you for your time tonight and for the opportunity to put the club's position on record. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions for our presenter? Go to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. Just seeking clarity around the view of location of the commercial space and the club's view on whether it needs to be a separate building or as it was in the past, not having a strong view on whether it be separate or not.
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question? Didn't quite hear.
In terms of the view of the club, in terms of the location of the commercial aspect of the development.
Yes, the club's view is that it would be a separate development and not connected to the club building.
And whereas in the past the club hasn't had a strong view on that, so is it the position now is a strong view that it be
is
separate?
a strong view, and I think where we find ourselves today, with the costs and the focus for us really being on the development of the club, that yes, that's our view.
Any final questions for our presenter? Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you for
Thank you very
your
much.
presentation. The last deputation tonight is from Ms. Michelle Kwok for item 1213, report on feasibility of reducing chemical weed control. And again, you'll have 12 minutes whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, councillors. Next, please. This report stems from a motion carried during the AGM in 2024, along with a council resolution outlining targets and timelines. It's evident that the objective is to enhance the adoption of non-chemical weeding methods. However, this report suggests the application of pre-emergent herbicides, which misrepresents the intentions of the community and the council's decision. This is not particularly surprising, as we've previously witnessed a similar situation in July 2020, when council directed the city to cease the use of glyphosate in the city's play spaces within 15 metres.
Sorry, Ms. Kwok, just before we proceed, I just asked you to withdraw the comment about it, these statements about the city, if that's okay.
About what, sorry?
The statements which you made about the city, misinterpreting and misleading. Misrepresenting, sorry, that was the word. Are you okay if you withdraw that, those imputations?
Sure.
Yep.
Please do.
Thank you. You may continue.
Where was I? It's not particularly surprising, as we have previously witnessed a similar situation in July 2020, when council directed the city to cease the use of glyphosate in the city's play spaces and within 50 metres outside schools. It's a reasonable duty of care to minimize public exposure to harmful chemicals, especially for children. But what were being used in place, next please, steam, was trialed alongside 4 different chemicals. Glyphosate is a Schedule 5 poison. However, we have observed the use of equally toxic and even more hazardous as Schedule 6 poisons. When the council directed the city to stop using glyphosate, they opted for something more detrimental. This action contradicts the intent of the council's decision. And Esplanade listed is a Schedule 6 poison. Next, please. It is crucial to avoid application within 3 days of rainfall, as it poses significant toxicity to aquatic organisms, potentially leading to irreversible harm to aquatic ecosystems and adversely affecting the nervous systems of mammals. Runoff from impermeable surfaces poses a significant risk. Next, please. There are multiple drains located along the stretch of the 200 meters of Ocean Reef Road there. Pre-emergent herbicides persist for 3 to 8 months post-application. Given that our soil is sandy, any substances applied will likely to be washed into the groundwater via the drains or seep through the sand. Apart from posing a threat to the aquatic ecosystem, the groundwater serves as our primary water source. There's a risk that these herbicides could be polluting your garden through irrigation or finding their way into your drinking water. Next, please. Esplanade features us on TV. The reporter who resided in the city noticed the sign and conducted interviews with experts in the field who stated that Esplanade is a Class 6 poison and emphasized that the necessity of adhering to health and safety regulations by following label instructions and the use of PPE. Consequently, it's inappropriate to spray in public spaces. Whenever I search for herbicides, the information predominantly pertains to agricultural applications. However, we apply agrochemicals in the suburbia that's heavily populated. Next, please. These farm operators are completely safeguarded while applying herbicides, with no one else present. Our operators also employ a certain level of PPE. They are shielded, but what about the children, animals, and wildlife that frequently the recently treated zones? We were informed that the glyphosate would be absorbed by the leaves within 2 hours, making the area safe for use. But what about the lampposts, bollards, sand, pavers, wood chips, and all other surfaces that cannot absorb it? Next, please. The average field half-life of glyphosate is 47 days. We advocated for the application of precautionary principle instead of relying on assumptions regarding health and safety. The schedule and locations for pesticide application are released weekly on city's website. It's evident that significant spraying occurs each week. Next, please. Historically, there have been numerous cancellations due to rainy season. Therefore, it would be more effective to utilize hydrothermal methods during this time of the year. Additionally, glyphosate does not eliminate seeds, making it ineffective during the rainy season or when applied to seeded weeds. Next, please. The council has since terminated the trial on Esplanade. The city has also utilized other Schedule 6 formulas, such as diclorobinol, which is harmful to aquatic ecosystem and has been found in groundwater. Furthermore, the city has used non-scheduled poisons like mesophoron and others. While this indicates it poses no threat to human health, it can still adversely affect the environment, being ecotoxic to both soil and aquatic habitats. Next, please. When the city trialed mesophoron with glyphosate, it resulted in widespread tree deaths in the district. On the north side of Heberneth, the trees were planted by Mike Norman in the 1980s, all perished following the treatment, while the south side remained unaffected. It's quite disheartening and disappointing that insufficient care is applied during trials. This situation incurred a cost to us all. Next, please. The report proposed the use of pre-emergent herbicides within arterial and distributor road, weed control program, and selected areas within parks. Pre-emergent herbicides create a chemical barrier, so they are used in broadacre applications. It can only be used in mulched areas within parks because they are persistent and can remain in the environment for several months. Park visitors and animals could be exposed to these chemicals, which are typically unsafe for direct skin contact. Therefore, it is not advisable to use these in parks where there's a risk for public exposure. Next, please. The table indicates that the expenses associated with pre-emergent herbicides is 1.6 times greater than that of glyphosate. Consequently, their usage incurs higher cost. If that's the case, what measures can be taken to decrease the reliance on glyphosate? There are several options that we could explore. Next, please. Firstly, what portion of that 479,000 figure for non-chemical weeding was utilized for playgrounds compared to rural reservations, namely outside schools and in CBD? Historically, city staff have been responsible for the maintenance of playgrounds. However, a council resolution has transferred the responsibility to a non-chemical contractor, which I believe constitutes the majority of our expenses associated with the non-chemical weeding contract. Next, please. In 2020, the city of Stirling implemented a glyphosate reduction plan, replacing 100% of its hydrothermal methods in road reservations within a 5-year period, which accounts for 80% of their total glyphosate use. They reached this goal through an incremental reduction approach. Our city is 5% smaller, 50 k's less road than Stirling. If we were to implement steam weeding across all road reservations, we could potentially have significant savings. There's no reason why city staff cannot manage playground maintenance using non-chemical weeding methods, and this will remove the extra cost of engaging a contractor. The report tonight suggests replacing glyphosate with pre-emergent herbicides during the first 2 years. There's another way to achieve the goal without using more chemicals. That's by investigating the weed seeker technology, which has the potential to reduce glyphosate usage by up to 90%, while we are transitioning to non-chemical weeding methods. Next, please. These devices are once again intended for agricultural use. The tractor is equipped with a boom that holds 50 weed seekers devices, which utilize infrared technology to identify weeds by detecting chlorophyll. Subsequently, it's able to administer a smaller dose of chemicals as needed. This technology has been modified for urban applications by various stakeholders. Next, please. Our current chemical contractor has these devices mounted on tractors. However, mounting them on ride-on equipment is significantly more efficient. Next, please. This system is cost-effective, lowers glyphosate consumption, and lessens public exposure to harmful chemicals. McIntosh & Son is the official dealer for Weed Seeker 2. Next, please. The report suggests that incorporating a public access way for steam treatment is costly. However, we can consider this from a different perspective. Next, please. The city did not support the use of non-chemical weeding methods along PAW. However, the city supports residents to undertake planting and maintenance of PAW by expanding the city's Your Street Verge guidelines to include the landscaped area of PAW. Next, please. On the left, we observe a well-planted PAW, while on the right, there's only bare sand, which is susceptible to runoff during storms. Additionally, bare sand contributes to urban heat island effect. The city ought to motivate residents to enhance their PAWs and contemplate organizing a native plants giveaway for PAWs. The last slide, please. The community has consistently expressed a preference for safer, more sustainable weed management wherever practical. The alternatives discussed this evening demonstrate that there are genuine options available that deserve proper consideration. I respectfully ask that you reject the recommendation relating to pre-emergent herbicides, continue supporting the transition towards non-chemical weeding management, and request administration to investigate the practical alternatives outlined tonight so that future decisions align with both Council's previous resolutions and the expectations of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kwok, for your presentation. There's probably time for one question, if anybody has a question for Ms. Kwok. That's all. Thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end of the deputations for tonight. We then move to public question time. There's a set of procedures relating to public question time, and I request that you follow my direction at all times. You will have the opportunity to ask 2 questions, and your question should be directed to myself as chair and be asked in a polite and respectful manner. Questions asked at a briefing session must relate to a report listed on the briefing session agenda. And as usual, we keep a register of those people who wish to ask public questions. Sorry, yes, I do have the register here. Thank you. The first one is Mr. Mike Moore, if you'd like to come forward.
Mike Moore, 31 Quarry Ramble, Edgewater. Excuse me. Questions on the Surf Club. Motion 8 on the agenda. I assume that due diligence has been done, so therefore the 2 questions I'm about to ask should be easily answerable. First one relates to cost. Previous expenditure is over 1.2 million, getting us to this stage. So we're about to embark on the journey again. It means going through the process of sorting out a sketch design, doing design development, doing documentation, going to tender, and all the ancillary bits in between. So what is the estimated cost of doing that if we start again?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Moore. Director Claassen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I understand your question correctly, Mr. Moore, the cost to undertake the redesign of the facility, is that what you're asking?
Yes, through to tender.
Currently, up to the process now, the expenditure was around $1.2 million in terms of the overall design, detailed design, procurement processes, etc. We're not assuming that everything will need to be redone in terms of some of the geotech work we believe can cover the new works, depending on the specific location or where that might be. So the estimate, depending on how much work we have to redo, is between $750,000 and $1 million.
Thank
Mr. Moore?
you. Okay, second question is, how long is this process going to take from starting again here to going to tender?
Thank you for your question. Director Claassen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question. I think what's quite important to understand is it all's going to depend on the specifics of the design. What we're assuming is around approximately, say, 15, 16 months to 20 months in terms of getting to the point where we are today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Is there anybody from the public gallery who wishes to ask a question? Mr. Sideris at the back. Mr. Sideris, if you're able to speak, say your name and address for the public record as usual.
Yeah, Mitch Sideris, Page Drive, Mullu. I submitted a couple of questions to the briefing session tonight. And in response to question 1, there appears to be some reluctance in providing a copy of the, I think it's the 2025 year report to myself and to elected members. Can somebody please explain why?
Thank you for your question. Mr. Sideris, Director Claassen.
Thank you, and through Mr. Mayor, there's no reluctance to provide the information. As we've indicated in the response to yourself, Mr. Sideris, the information specifically relating to Sherrington Park has been provided in the report to elected members. And as we've provided in the response to your question, we're happy to provide the full report on the separate cover. But that component of Sherrington Park is covered in the report.
Mr. Sideris, your second question.
I don't think that answered the question. But anyway, I've basically tried to read the response. Am I required to to submit and request a copy of that, same as I'm required to submit and request a copy of a Smarty Grants application, of which I got a response today. Both times the question's been asked, can I get a copy, complete? And both times I'm told I have to go and ask again. Why?
Thank you, Mr. Sideris. Director Claassen.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm not able to respond to the question regarding the Smarty grants. Most probably, if you provide that, we can have a look at that, Mr. Sideris. In terms of this report, we're just getting it in a format that we can provide that to you, and we'll provide that to you. You don't have to ask for it again.
Thank you, Mr. Sideris. Is there anybody else from the public gallery? Yes, the man at the back. If you'd like to come forward and state your name and address to the record as usual.
My name is Paul Fuminari, 17 Kachuka Court in Duncraig. And just regarding the surf club, just a couple of questions. What was the criteria for choosing the design firm for the surf club?
Thank you for your question. Director Claassen.
Through Mr. Mayor, the architectural firm went through a public procurement process, and that was how that was appointed. They were appointed for the project.
Thank you.
Okay, and were they questioned on can they design to a square metre rate? Like say, I come from the housing industry and you can pretty much ballpark based on everything you've done before what something's going to come out per square metre. So I'm guessing this company has done a lot of designs and a lot of building in the past. So they would have basically known when they draw something what would roughly come out per square metre. So they should be able to say, okay, it's going to be this many square metres. It's probably going to be about this, obviously not hold them to it. Were they questioned, can they design to a square metre rate roughly?
Thank you for your question. Director.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware if they were specifically asked if they could design to a specific square metre rate. However, if you look at the overall cost estimates, the building hasn't changed much. It's more the auxiliary works based on the location, etc., had added cost to the building. I'll take the rest of that question on notice and provide you with some more detail. Get the team to look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Is there anybody else from the public gallery who wishes to ask a question? No? Thank you. We then move to public statement time. Again, there is a set of procedures relating to public statement time, and I request that you follow my direction at all times. You are able to make a statement for up to 2 minutes, and your statement should be directed to myself as chair and be polite and respectful. No questions or discussion will occur at the end of the statement. Statements made at a briefing session must relate to a report which is listed on the briefing session agenda. So again, similar to before, we keep a register of those people wishing to make statements. So the first person on our list is Mr. Rick Hurst, if you'd like to come forward. And this is for item 1213.
Mayor Kingston, Mr. CEO, councillors, staff and fellow ratepayers. As you just heard, my name is Rick Hurst from 6 Birch Place, Greenwood. Tonight I wish to speak in relation to item 12.13, the targeted reduction in glyphosate usage. I strongly oppose the focus here. It must change that focus to improve weed control, not an arbitrary restriction on the most effective tools for the job. Reference to the city weed management plan is to me most interesting. The only grasses listed, wild oats, annual veldgrass and veldgrass. The many other grasses not shown represent the most significant fire risk of all and are all easily and economically controlled by glyphosate. It is commendable that this council is responding to community perceptions in relation to chemicals, but I believe that education to replace perceptions with pragmatism may be a better approach. For example, should you become exposed to contamination by glyphosate, then there may just be a 1 in 10,000 possibility of some future adverse health effects. Should you be trapped by a fire, which could have been rendered impossible with timely effective fire mitigation, then you most definitely will suffer excruciating injury and most likely death. I believe it is time the council explains such relative risks to those in the community who view all chemicals as similar to thalidomide. In conclusion, please shift the focus to killing weeds and grasses more effectively and thoroughly, such that in the future less weed control and therefore less chemical is required and alternate means of weed management become economically viable?
Thank you for your statement, Mr. Hurst. The next person on our list is Mr. Mike Moore, and again for item 12.1. Oh, Mr. Mike Moore. Mike Moore. I've got Mike Norman next. Mr. Moore, when you're ready.
Okay, the Surf Club again. Okay, I'm just concerned about the sort of attitude of being able to take costs out of the building. Earlier in my career, I worked for the Australian government on Navy buildings down at Garden Island. The Navy and Australian Construction Services had a lot of experience and expertise in building in marine environments. Things that they did to try and make sure their buildings had a long life, and that's important. The thing about a building is the cost of building it is usually between 3 and 5% of owning it between 40 and 50 years. So what's important is the cost of operating the building and maintaining the building. You make shortcuts on building the building, you'll end up with a maintenance nightmare down the track. The things that we used to do, everything had to be stainless steel. Nothing could be galvanised sheet steel. Windows, aluminium, anodised finished, not powder coating, because powder coating does not last. Natural finishes. So if you wanted concrete, it had to have natural colour embedded in it. You did not paint anything unless it absolutely had to be painted. So usually that only meant door frames and timber doors. The other thing you need to be conscious of is that you're building a building which is important for the city. It needs to last for 40 years and hopefully 50 years. But it also needs to be a good building, not just a building that looks cheap. And if you want to have an example of a building that looks cheap, look at the administration building. It was a design and construct sort of exercise in the 1970s. It's been a maintenance sort of nightmare for the city ever since. And let's be candid, it doesn't look real great. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement, Mr. Moore. The next person on our list is Mr. Mike Norman, if you'd like to come forward.
Hi, here I am again. Mike Norman, 8 Stockdale Avenue, Sorrento. Just a couple of comments. When we heard about the 10 million unfunded, other community groups in the city were very concerned about that because that would mean we wouldn't get funding for our needs possibly for a decade. We already have a shortfall. We already have cutbacks for other community groups. There are 360 clubs or community organisations in the city, and they should not be disadvantaged by the project for one club. And I do understand the surf club's very important. It plays an important role in the community. It's a pity that they can't be given the money to build it because with 2,500 members, I bet they've got lots of tradies who would build it at a fraction of the price. All right? Now, another comment I wanted to make was the commercial facility. You might be aware that there's a big complex called Aura Sorrento, just about finished, 8-storey, and it's got a huge commercial area under it. So why are we building a commercial facility right near that facility? It's going to have a stack of restaurants and cafes in it. The strip of land between West Coast Drive and the ocean is very narrow in Sorrento. Parking is at a premium. We should not be taking up parking space in that area with a commercial building. We should actually leave it as parking space, but also with a big area for bike racks to encourage people to use alternate ways of getting down the beach, especially with those hundreds of members in Sorrento and Duncraig. They live nearby. Why are they all driving down? I see them all driving and parking in the Hillary's Boat Harbour car parking, which is putting pressure on Hillary's Boat Harbour. So we should not be taking up parking space in that narrow strip of land with a commercial facility, given that you've got the Aura complex over the road and you have the Hillary's Boat Harbour just a bit to the north.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody from the public gallery who wishes to make a statement? No? Thank you. In that case, I declare public statement time closed. We then move to apologies and leaves of absence. I haven't received any. I've received one apology for tonight, which was from Councillor May, and Councillor Hutton is on a leave of absence. Are there any elected members requesting a leave of absence to be approved at this month's council meeting? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 24th October to 2nd of November inclusive, please.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any further councillors? Councillor Gould.
Yes, thanks. 26 August to 30 August.
Thank you, Councillor. Any final? Councillor Vanchulo.
Thank you. Through you, I'm just getting the exact dates. I believe it's the... I'll have to get back to you. Sorry, apologies.
Thank you,
I
Councillor.
will be putting one in, though.
If you send it in by email, we'll have it in time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any final councillors? Thank you. In that case, confirmation of minutes. That item will be dealt with at the ordinary meeting held on the 25th of August, also with announcements by the presiding member without discussion. That then brings us identification of matters for which the meeting may be closed to the public. The following items may be dealt with behind closed doors if there's any questions on these confidential items or the attachments. There is one confidential item, which is item 12.3, status of legal actions, and there are multiple confidential attachments. Firstly, for item 12.1, the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Redevelopment Project. Item 12.5, Project Axiom, the final statement of works. Item 12.10, the tender for the supply of mobile garage bins. And item 12.11, the tender for civil works for Davison Terrace City Centre Place activation. Do any elected members wish to discuss the confidential attachments or the one confidential report? No. In that case, thank you. There'll be no need then to go behind closed doors for any of the items then. We then move to petitions. The city's received one petition which will be included in this month's agenda. It's a petition requesting council to install CCTV along Camarino Drive in Woodvale. Do any other elected members wish to present a petition for the subsequent council meeting? No. Thank you. We then move to the report section of tonight's agenda. There's presentations on item 12.1, which is the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Redevelopment Project, item 12.5, Project Axiom, and item 12.14, the Heathridge Park Redevelopment Project. We'll start off with item 12.1. I will then move to item 12.13, which is the report on the feasibility reducing chemical weed control, because there's been public interest, so I'll bring that one forward. Starting then with item 12.1, there's a presentation from Director Clarkson. When you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the tender submitted for the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Redevelopment Project and the commercial operator expression of interest for the operator for the cafe kiosk restaurant component. This is an important community project for the city, for the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club, and for the many residents, visitors, and beach users who rely on this location for recreation, public amenities, safety services, and coastal access. The club is one of the largest sporting clubs in the city and provides significant volunteer, life-saving, patrol, education, and community services across Sorrento Beach and Hillary's Boat Harbour. Since Council endorsed the project direction and design parameters in 2023, the city has progressed detailed design, tender documentation, and procurement activities. Those processes have now provided a clearer picture of the estimated costs to deliver the project, the available funding, the current funding shortfall for the community facilities component, and the options available to Council in considering the next steps. The report also outlines the commercial operator expression of interest process, which has identified respondents suitable to progress to the next stage, subject to Council's consideration. This component is relevant not only to the future amenity of the foreshore, but also to the broader financial and delivery considerations for the redevelopment. As outlined in the report, the current project total project estimate is approximately $30.4 million, which includes approximately $26.6 million for the community facilities component and $3.8 million for the commercial facility. With available funding of approximately $19.9 million, there is a shortfall of approximately $10.5 million for the community facility, and as such, additional funding resources and or rescoping of the works are required before progressing to construction stage. Following the deferral of this item at the July council meeting, the CEO and officers met with representatives from the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club to discuss the options presented and the report to council. At this meeting, city officers undertook to work with the club to ensure that there remains a clear understanding of the club's operational requirements when reviewing and assessing options should council support the officers' recommendation. The club representatives signalled their support for the officers' recommendation to enable a redesign to be progressed by the city in line with the available funding while still meeting the club's requirements. As such, the city is seeking council support to explore options to redesign the community facilities to reduce the potential project cost in line with the available funding. Happy to take questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Director. I first thought I'd flag with the council that I also will be circulating the same amendment, same alternate, which I circulated at the previous meeting. That's so that the council and the CEO will engage with the surf club during the redevelopment process to look at the design together. And of course, that was focused on in some of the commentary tonight from the club. Just a few questions for the Director, and then I'll go to questions from other councillors, mostly to cover off from some comments during the statement time. And firstly, in relation to the design construction methods, the construction methods for the building, will the city be looking at appropriate coastal infrastructure for building this? Will the city be looking at the salinity in the area and, of course, the wind ratings when designing this building so that it's a suitable construction for the location?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and responding to your question, absolutely. In terms of the suitability of material, etc., will form an integral part of the project, so there's no concern. I don't know if the manager of asset management got something to add.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess the best comment to make on that is the city doesn't want to cut standards at all. There's national construction codes, access and inclusion, environmental standards that the city wants to meet, let alone is required to meet, and there's no plans to actually move away from any of those changes.
Thank you for your answer. And then also on the design life of the building, of course, it's a significant construction for our community. The design life of the civil design, is this going to be a 30, 40 year design construction as a minimum, or? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the question. The structural components of the building, we usually look around 100 years for durability. One would assume that buildings based on functionality would require some redevelopment during that time period, but that's usually the structural components of the building. That's what we design to.
Thank you. And then also the concern, and I know this was answered in the previous answer as well, about the city when it's designing the building and of course the project budget, which is now available, being just under 20 million. Will the city be looking at trying to take funding from the building component or not? So this is for the building elements themselves, the elements relating to the building. To take funding from that component, as in shrinking that element to be able to deliver this project, because we've had the $30 million, which is unfunded at the moment, which we haven't been progressing with, at least if we don't progress with. Yeah.
If I understand the question correctly, Mr. Mayor, no, the city is looking at, in terms of the redesign, taking clearly into consideration the operational requirements in terms of the building. There might be options working with the club to see how best we can rejig that. Are the areas that can be multi-purpose, etc. So those are the things that will be considered as part of the overall objective. There's no clear position to take money from the building component to reduce the building size. We'll look at the operational requirements and see how do we justify that to make sure we can still deliver a functional project, but within the available funding.
And then just following up on, again, a comment earlier from, I think it was Mr. Furtz, on the costs of the $30 million cost roughly, has a lot of that been generated actually by the building cost itself or all the other civil works and design costs of having the building now in the coastal reserve itself. So the revegetation works and the offsets, providing 3 services to the 3 different buildings. Has that become a significant cost element, which has caused this project to be neither affordable and, I guess, deliverable?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a bit of a combination of all of the above. I think, as you've pointed out, the obviously services, yes, has an impact, but also the civil works and the location of the building and how we actually try and make that work has had a material impact on the cost. Through the redesign, we were looking at how best to locate that building to minimize those costs, but still making sure, as I've indicated, working with the club, that we actually still maintain a functional working building in the location and how best to operate it.
Yep. And then just lastly, if it was the case that the new building was selected to be on the same site as the current building, would the city work with the club to try and make sure that there is some temporary storage and accommodations that they can continue their operations through the summer period if they were displaced for a construction on the existing site?
I think I might ask the manager of asset management to comment on that. Yes, we are absolutely work with the club to see how we minimise the disruption of their operations. It might include staging so you don't remove the whole building as it is now. It might be that the building is slightly located on the existing site. So those are the options that we will consider. I think one of the aspects that we need to be very clear about is providing temporary accommodation will be costly as well. So I'd rather, if I have a preference from the city's point of view, rather invest the money in the new facility than in temporary accommodation. But those are the type of things that we'll work with the club to actually see, well, how best to structure the design that we can still achieve that while still maintaining an operational environment for them.
Yeah. Thank you, Director. And any questions from councillors? I'll go to the ward councillor first, Councillor Venchulo, and Councillor Chester next.
Thank you, through you. Just a couple quick ones for me. We've obviously discussed that the potential redesign process, if things go according to the officer's recommendation, there's a lot that can be built back in. I think that was the word that was used. And the time frame was 15 to 20 months. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is if there's a lot that can be built in, is that time frame considered a short period if we were really using a lot of framework that's already existing? Because obviously the club has waited a long time. The city has an obligation at this point. So I would ask, what does that 15 to 20 months look like?
Director Klassen.
Through Mr. Mayor, I might actually starting to get into very lot of detail to ask the manager of asset management, but what we would envisage will happen as part of this is working with the club to develop a concept over the initial period, 4 to 6 months, to say, well, how best to locate that, and once we actually agree on a concept, then move that to a detailed design and procurement process, which will take a 10 to 14 months period, depending on location, those type of things that we need to build in. Don't know if the manager of asset management got something to add on to that.
Yep.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. One of the key timeline impacts is that we'll have to make resubmissions for our service and utilities if the building was to change locations. So the work we've done with Western Power, Water Corp, based on the 3-building process, would have to restart. There's also environmental applications we'll have to do for any clearings, depending on the location. So some of those items where we're not completely solid on where the new facility would be located still needs to be worked through, and those will lead into those regulatory processes that we don't have any control over the timeline. So that's one of the factors of why we've set those dates.
Councillor.
Thank you. Just one more for me. In relation to that time frame, obviously with the economic environment at the moment and the longer we go down the road, do we have concerns that there's potential blowout scenarios in a 15 to 20 month time frame where we get a design which will probably, will it match expectations of what will be coming from a budget perspective?
Director?
Through Mr. Mayor, obviously there's always those concerns in terms of we don't have a silver bullet to actually understand exactly what the construction market is going to do. It has been pretty volatile over the last couple of months, and hoping that there will be some stability into that market. That said, however, in terms of our overall design, we'll take that into consideration as part of our cost estimates and assessments of likely project cost to try and mitigate any risk for that.
Just one final one. Do we believe size and scale will be impacted significantly?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's very difficult to state. I think one of the things that we will need to sit down with the club is get a clear understanding of their operational requirements. And obviously we have that, but I mean, that was set a while ago. That might have changed. So getting a clear understanding of those operational requirements up front with the club is going to be really important. We will also need to understand the assessment in terms of what the elevation would look like from West Coast Drive and any potential impacts on those. So in terms of that, very difficult to state at this stage. I'd rather leave the options open to enable us to work with the club to look at those options instead of making definitive comments on would the scale and size change or not. I think that's part of the process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll go to Councillor Chester, then Councillor Hill. Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the Director. I was interested to hear his estimate of durability of this construction. So my question is, to what extent will that estimate be impacted by the location, being right on the coast and probably receiving saltwater spray throughout the year? Is that likely to reduce the estimate of lifetime?
Thank you, Councillor. Director Clausen.
Through Mr. Mayor, I think what's quite important is, yes, that obviously that exposed location does have an impact, and as part of the design brief and the team's work, we'll look at what type of materials would need to be provided, and that's already included in the original document. So we'll just review that, but yeah, obviously that exposed environment does have an impact on cost.
Yes, just one further comment. I assumed myself that you'd be using quite different materials to resist the corrosive impact of the seawater, and in fact you're doing that, so thank you for that information.
Thank you, Councillor Chester. Councillor Hill.
Yes, thanks. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off just by asking a question related to coastal erosion. Could I just ask for some feedback on what components of the design may be considered in order to mitigate the risk of coastal erosion at this location? Thank you.
Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The location there is an accreting beach, so what we've seen over the last and all the modelling that has undertaken by the city regarding the coastal erosion, that beach is accreting, is not eroding. However, any aspects of the coastal erosion has been considered previously and will again be considered as part of the overall design parameters. I don't know if Mr. Parry has got anything else to add to that.
Director Parry? No? Thank you. Councillor Hill.
Yes, thank you. I do have a number of additional questions, and I would be happy for the answers to be provided in the pack. I appreciate that some of these answers can be determined from the agenda. However, I feel that it's important for Council to fully understand the progression of cost estimates over the last 4 years, and each step of this progression needs to be well understood. So in June 2022, the Council of the day unanimously voted to progress Option 1 design, which had an estimated cost of $14 million. First question. My understanding is that the Option 1 cost estimate included design and construction contingency amounts of total $1,694,000. Is that correct? Thank you.
Director?
Through Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question, Councillor Hill. If you don't mind, to make sure we've got that information correct, I'll take it on notice and make sure the information is in the pack.
And
Thank
sorry,
you.
Councillor Hill, just before we proceed, I'll just sort of caution you that just be cautious about this is a briefing session to ask questions, not necessarily to speak to an item too much. So,
I'm
if we
merely
just sort of
explaining
keep the
why I'm asking the questions. So
the question's just concise, if that's
yep,
all right.
they are
Thank you.
concise, and I will submit these questions in writing as well, if that assists the city to respond. So, question 2. The council resolution requested the CEO to arrange community engagement prior to undertaking detailed design. My understanding is that following community engagement in June 2023, council was provided with 3 updated design options designated as A, B and C. Councils were informed that option 1 cost had now increased to $15.1 million and the cost for options A, B and C range between $13.5 million and $14.9 million, i.e. all 3 options were now cheaper than option 1. Is that correct? Thank you.
Director?
I think from memory, yes, it is correct, but again, I'd rather take the question on notice and really appreciate, as you've indicated, Councillor Hill, that you provide the question starts in writing so we can ensure we capture that correctly.
Absolutely. At the same council meeting, the council today made a resolution requesting that 9 design parameters be included in a modified design concept with an approximate budget of $14 million, with a report to be presented to council in November 2023. Is that correct? Thank you.
Director?
That is correct. There was a number of design parameters. From memory, yes, 9 design parameters included, which was then presented back to council at a later date.
Thank you. If I may continue, at the November 2023 council meeting, council was presented with a modified design which was designated as option 1.1. The associated cost estimate was $14,868,400, including building and design contingencies. Is that correct? Thank you.
Director?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, that was correct. That was what was presented to council at the time.
Thank you. And in February 2025, council was presented with an updated cost estimate of $17.8 million. Is that correct? And did that cost estimate include construction and design contingencies? Thank you.
Director?
The cost estimate in February 2025 included construction contingencies based on the available information at the time, yes.
Thank you. We're now being presented with a total project cost estimate of over $30 million. Does that cost estimate include construction and design contingencies? Thank you.
Director?
The cost estimate in front of council in this report of $30 million, yes, includes the contingencies.
Councillor?
Thank you. Please can I be provided with information detailing the specific reasons for the cost increase of $3 million between November 2023 and February 2025? Please can this information include information advising any significant design changes made and the estimated cost impact of each of those design changes? Thank you.
Director?
Sorry, I'll take the question on notice, Mr. Mayor, and provide in the back.
Much appreciated. Not many more questions. Please can I be provided with information detailing the specific reasons for the cost increase of $12.6 million between February 2025 and June 2026. Please can this information include information advising any significant design changes made and the estimated cost impact of each of those design changes? Thank you.
Director?
Free Mr. Mayor, yes, we'll take the question on notice. I think we have provided to elected members in a confidential briefing some of that information. I will pull that out and provide that as part of the pack as well.
Councillor?
Yes, thank you. Just 2 more questions. Please can I be provided with a current cost estimate for construction of the June 2022 option 1 concept design? I consider that a reliable cost estimate is essential to assist council. Thank you.
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we do not have a cost estimate available in today's dollars for that option. I think that's pre-concept. I would be fairly hesitant to provide an undertaking to provide that information as it's not available. I'd rather suggest that our focus should be on moving forward than actually looking at that specific option. That option will be considered as part of the options that we will consider in terms of redesign.
Councillor Hill.
Thank you. And my final question, just for good order, please can I be advised whether the City has identified any errors or omissions for any of the cost estimates provided in June 2022, June 2023, November 2023 and February 2025? Thank you.
Director, I don't know if you want to take that one on notice, Director.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'll take the question on notice. I think what I should, however, indicate to elected members is that those cost estimates were undertaken at different stages of the project with different levels of detail through that process, but happy to take the question on notice and provide some information on that.
Thank you, Director. Councillor Hill.
Yes, thank you. All done.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, a couple of questions, if I could. Just first one in relation to something Councillor Hill was talking about. My memory, and perhaps you could clarify this for me, could the City confirm whether it did actually state in the original approved resolution from Council that in the statement of works there was a statement somewhere in there that stated that there was not specifically all the groundworks and additional works that may be required. It was clearly stated in that. I'm just wondering if the City could find that for us for the pack, because I do remember there was something in there about that sort of stuff wasn't included, and if they could allude to anything now for us.
Director Carson.
Through Mr. Mayor, I've struggled to understand exactly what you're referring to, Councillor Lee. What I can state, though, is that as part of the information that will provide us as in the pack will be the progression of the designs and the cost estimates as we went through that, and that hopefully will highlight and flag some of the information you are referring to.
Fantastic, thank you. Now, just really quickly, in terms of projected cost modelling, has the City done anything up to this point that it could probably include for us in the pack as well, in relation to projected increases in modelling for the costs of construction and material costs increase over the period of 15 to 20 months? Because obviously there's that sort of idea of that sort of time frame in the City's head, and I'm just wondering if we could help elected members when we're making decisions towards this 15-20 month time frame there, if we could get an understanding on some modelling and projected increases in materials and construction costs while we're making decisions.
Director Carson.
Thank you, and through Mr. Mayor, yes, again, as part of the confidential briefing, we actually have provided some indicative estimates to elected members. Happy to pull that out and provide that in the pack as well.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any further questions from members? Councillor Pizzi.
Yeah, thank you. I suppose my questions have kind of been answered, but not completely in my mind, so bear with me. Just how confident is the City that we, in this current market, going back to the drawing board in 20 months' time, that the City can provide a building and outcome that will be appropriate and less than the tenders that we have in front of us now? How confident is the City that they can do that after the history process that has been outlined tonight?
Director Carson.
Through Mr. Mayor, in terms of the level of confidence, one needs to understand that the current building design location was based on a specific set of parameters that was developed over a period of time. What we have identified as part of the process now is where some of those cost pressures lie on this project. So we are comfortable that there are potential cost savings by looking at alternate locations, potential designs, layouts, etc. What the uncertain part is what the construction market is going to do over the next 15 to 20 months. I mean, obviously, we would try and facilitate the delivery of this project as quickly as possible. Obviously understand the requirement that we want to push that, and we'll push that along as fast as we can. However, that uncertainty, it would be remiss of myself not to flag that as a concern, and it's very difficult to assess and make a clear assessment of what the market is going to do over the next 15 months to 2 years.
Councillor?
I think you've really answered my second part of my question, but I'll ask it anyway in case you want to elaborate. Does the city think that these savings will be eaten by the construction market and increasing costs over the next 20 months, given the political environment at the moment?
Director Claassen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as I've indicated, that's the uncertainty. Cannot really project that. Obviously, that market in the current environment is a bit uncertain, but it's difficult to state that yes, it will be fully eaten up or not. I think what we need to look at is an appropriate design based on the available funding and see how best we can deliver that by working with the club. So I think the opportunities are there to reduce the cost. By how much and how we would achieve that, we'll develop that over the next couple of months.
Councillor?
Is the city hoping that materials and construction costs are going to decrease in the next 20 months?
I think that was probably answered in some of the previous responses, Director.
Happy to answer. I mean, currently we're not expecting it to drop, so we'll take that into consideration. The conflict in the Middle East is still going, and that is impacting on not just fuel prices but the construction industry in general. So we are not, if the word you're using, hoping that it's going to drop, we can't see that it's going to drop, so we will need to find the savings, real savings in terms of how we deliver the project.
Councillor?
So does that mean, so we're going to add 20 months minimum to get to the point where we are now and spend another maybe $750,000 pointed out tonight to get there, and we're trying to find a $10 million saving. If you don't think materials are going to drop in that time, are we actually going to have to find a bigger saving than $10 million if the construction costs are going to go up in that time? And can we really find that? And I suppose the other part of that question is, does that mean if we can't in the end that we've left 20 months of wait, spent more money, and then we may not get a building that is as good as we've got now?
I'll go to the Director, but I think we are straying into debate on the motion when we start putting too many opinions into questions. Director?
Sorry, I didn't think I put any opinion into that. I was asking the question of, so directly the question is, we want to find $10 million in saving. Is that going to, do we actually need to find more than $10 million savings because construction costs are going to increase?
I did say we'd take the question. Director Claassen?
Yep, thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, potentially yes. In terms of the overall savings, we will need to find the $10 million plus whatever escalation there might be over the next 15 months. As I've indicated, we will push this along as quickly as possible, and I think understanding that risk is important as well. In terms of the cost estimate, and I think it's quite important that we understand that a lot of the cost drivers, as I've indicated in one of my earlier responses, is based on the location and how we service that facility, being the civil works then. So I think there's an opportunity to look at how better to locate that facility to reduce the civil works component and not necessarily have a huge impact on the functionality and size of the building.
Councillor?
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. You've still got your light on. Councillor Pizzi?
Oh, no, just rubbing my head. Oh, sorry.
That's all right, thank you. In that case, we will then move to the next item on tonight's agenda, which is item 12.13, the report on feasibility reducing chemical weed control. And I believe there's a presentation on this item as well. No, not on this one. Thank you. In that case, we just go straight to questions from elected members. I just have a couple, but they're more just procedural for the council meeting. For part 2 of the motion, is it possible that that can be broken out into the different parts of what that recommendation for scenario B would entail? So of course there's the part which is about the city adopting and expanding hydrothermal, and then there's also the part around pre-emergent herbicides, and also some of the elements which are involved in scenario B. Is it possible if I could get an alternate which separates those all so council members can have a choice about if there's different opinions on different parts, if that's possible?
That's
Director?
possible, Mr. Mayor. We can separate those out, yes.
Thank you. And then could I also get in an alternate, actually I'll ask a question on it first. The Friends Group funding, and of course the Friends Groups are involved in the weed management for the city by volunteer labour in the city's natural area reserves. At the moment, is it the case that the special purpose grant is not increasing for this financial year? Director?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. In alignment with the budget parameters, the expenditure, hence the budget for the Friends Group grants, has remained the same as it was last year. It was indexed in previous years, but it was not indexed for 26, 27, no.
Yep. And as far as the benefit that the city receives from that funding, as in giving the funding to the volunteer groups, does the city believe that it receives value for money for that? That it is a significant multiplier effect?
Absolutely, there's value for money for that, but obviously the city will set a target to not increase materials and contracts, and where there was not an automatic CPI increase to any contractual arrangements, that has not been applied to the budget.
Yeah, thank you. Could I also get, I'm just sort of contemplating whether this is the right thing to do, so I'd just like to include in an alternate, and I'd like to seek the officer's comment as that comes through in the briefing pack, just for an additional point 5 and 6. Point 5 about reviewing the funding to Friends Groups at the media budget review. And point 6, having the council, whether the council should approve a schedule of pesticides. As in, yeah. Director?
We can develop that alternate, Mr. Mayor, work with yourself and have a discussion with yourself before we put it in the pack.
Yep, I appreciate that. And then just moving on to the commentary from one of the deputations about the City of Stirling and their plan, which they've had, I think, since 21, to reduce the amount of glyphosate on hard stand. Do we know how that they've progressed against their projected figures? Director?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure. I don't know if the manager, Parks and Natural Environment's got any information on that.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I know they've had some teething problems, but also know that they have a new manager now in place, and I'll be able to touch base with him and put any information in the pack.
Thank you. And then also on the question of the council motion itself, which generated part of this, so from the annual general meeting in 2024 and then in 2025, has the city given any consideration to measuring, instead of looking at square metres, as in the total volume of product used as an indicator of reducing the use of pesticides, instead of just using square kilometres?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, as part of our business unit reporting and on the State of the Environment report, we will have there this year how many actual litres of chemical we will be using, either through our own internal resources or via the contractor as well.
Yeah. And then just can I understand the rationale for this report was provided on a square kilometre basis, not a litre basis? So not in the volume of product used, but in terms of kilometres squared. Do you understand what was the rationale for the report being provided on that basis?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I get the correction, question correct, based on our current pricing, our pricing is based on linear metres and square metre rates, not so much on the volume. The volume is set based on the material safety data sheets, and it's also influenced by the amount of times we spray and those environmental seasonal factors.
Yeah. And then what consideration has been given to trying to reduce, instead of just always looking at the square kilometres, actually looking at reducing the volumes? And I say that is that a lot of this report looks at substituting from, say, spraying using standard spraying methods, and then substituting for, say, hydrothermal, rather than looking at necessarily other technologies which might reduce the amount of product being used, where the same amount of kilometres might be sprayed, but you might be able to decrease the amount of actually exposure of the product to the community by, say, 20 or 30%. Director?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the city already uses weed seeker technology. So that is the report from the consultant includes both the options to use weed seeker and then do a specific reduction or change from a chemical application to a non-chemical application. So those are the applications that we consider. I don't know if the manager, yeah, that's correct.
And building on the presentation from Mr. Norman, there was a number of comments about using mechanical methods, and using mechanical methods more of the winter period when it's wet to control weeds before they go to seed. And of course, he gave examples from Europe where they do more mechanical control of weeding. Is that something the city has considered taking up, or is that something we could look at in selected areas in the city to see if it's effective? Director?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city's integrated weed management approach, as defined in the weed management plan, already takes into consideration that. I know there were concerns in the past raised that where we actually used the information to describe that we're actually already doing quite a large volume of weed control by mowing versus other methodologies, that there were concerns raised about those. But yes, that is part of our integrated weed management approach in terms of mowing, mechanical, any other mechanical means as well.
Yep. Thank you, Director. I'm aware that it's in the integrated weed management plan, but I guess I'm thinking is there an opportunity for looking at, say, median strips in the city or particular areas where they're sort of, this probably isn't the best way to describing it, low-value cosmetic areas that could be used to be where we could use mechanical means rather than looking at a chemical-based approach, or have we trialled anything like that? Director?
Yep, absolutely. That is already integral part of our approach in terms of mowing some of our arterials, medians, etc. Again, we and the manager and his team actually, we've actually got contractors mowing that, and actually set the specific timing of the contractor mowing based on the prevalence of weeds, etc. So they've already used that.
Yep. And then just lastly for PAWs, I mean, I'll probably have to declare an interest here, is that I live next to a PAW. But as far as PAW management, using predominantly mechanical means for the treatment of weeds in them, is that something that's feasible or not?
Through Mr. Mayor, not really feasible to look at mechanical means only, and that's why we encourage, as I think one of the deputations referred to, encourage people to actually plant it up and then weed that as part of the street verge guidelines. But I think we've got over 900 PAWs, which actually requires quite a lot of management I don't know if the manager's got something to add on that.
So through you, Mr Mayor, so currently the schedule of maintenance is twice a year for the staff to actually go and undertake the work. The work they do will be dependent on the condition of the PAW when they get there, and if where the residents have already have undertaken landscaping works, then those PAWs will be left behind. They won't be touched. But yeah, it's a combination of manual slashing the weeds and then and spraying them so we don't get germination back.
Thank you. And I'll just declare an interest that I am a member of the Friends of Yallagongga Regional Park, and so is my sister, who previously was on the committee as well. I'll go to Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to ask the admin what our priority is for veld grass, simply because veld grass is probably the biggest fire hazard in our natural areas. Is the city still quite happy to use grass-specific or grass-selective herbicide Fusilade? I guess that's the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Director?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, Councillor, the city does not see it's changing its method for looking after the natural bushland area. Within the report, the amount of hectares that we have to maintain, the amount of staff that we have, the terrain and the difficulty, and also the complexity of the biodiversity of the plants within the bushland, using Chrysilla Fusilade is at this point the only option we have at our disposal there. Obviously, there is a bit of manual weeding, which the Friends groups do, to really get into those hard to get places, which is really appreciated, and they do a great job. But yeah, for the size of the area of the city, currently that is the number one go-to for weed control.
Yeah, just a further question. Mr Norman and I walked Hepburn Heights, and we can see the results of the city using Fusilade, but immediately adjacent is the Watercorp's reservoir, which is absolutely riddled with veld grass, which is an obvious fire hazard. I wonder what sort of pressure we can put on our neighbours to deal with fire hazard infestations like that one. Thank you.
Director?
Thank you, and through Mr Mayor. As part of the city's bushfire risk management plan, we've looked at 10-year blind assessments of that and the requirements in terms of fuel load reduction as much with those authorities as it is with the city on our own land, where they have to provide the fire breaks, etc. That is followed up by our community safety team. But I will have to take the rest of that question on notice and see how we deal with any of the other landowners within the district, unless Director Parry's got an answer available.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yep. Thank you. Director Parry? No? Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a few things in relation to the attachments in the report there. On page 362, just the recommendations for the city to consider was mentioned in point 1.2, alternative method for deliveries of models, and point 5, alternative methods and equipments. In the report, there's the mentions of the steaming monitoring, but no mentions of volume delivery method or alternates for that. Was there a reason that was chosen not to be included in this report?
Director?
Through you, Mr Mayor, just to make sure I got the question right, Councillor. Are you talking about us, the city undertaking thermal weed control in-house compared to contractors?
I'm referring to that there's a lot of mention about the steam hydrothermal methods, but there's no methods that use the existing technologies but lower the volumes, or technologies that are available, or technologies that are on the market that the city could have looked at. but there's no mention of any of this in the report, no.
Director?
Just thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the city already use methodologies as we've indicated, weak seeker, where we actually reduce the volume of glyphosate sprayed in a specific location in terms of, and also look at other chemicals, as Councillor Chester has indicated, in terms of management of grasses within specific bushland areas. As part of the overall reduction in chemical weed control, some of the pre-emergence actually assist in actually reducing the germination and therefore reduce the overall use of chemicals, and that's part of that reduction in chemicals.
So it was determined that it's not to be included as a bigger component of this report because it wasn't viable, or like, obviously the report, from the indication of the report from what I read it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's recommending only steam or hydrothermal. There's no reduction in volume levels on the glyphosate use or anything by other technologies. Is that correct?
I must probably misunderstand the question, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, we look at other application methodologies, as I've indicated, to reduce glyphosate, such as weed seeker. So no, your assumption is not correct. Yes, we actually include some of those other methodologies to reduce the use of glyphosate where we still use glyphosate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just as well in relation to page 368 there, states in one of the points there, weed management practices undergo regular reviews according to emerging sciences, regulatory changes and community feedback. Can I ask, when was the last review conducted?
Director?
The large major review of the weed management plan was undertaken in 25. I'll take the question on notice and just provide that information in the pack for you, Councillor Linnell.
Thank you. If we could also have the outcomes or any notable outcomes in relation to that report and review, and what specifically those reviews are around. Just as well, what is the cost of the units of the weed seekers the city's paying?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the city doesn't own weed seeker technology. The actual contractors undertaking the work own the technology and utilise it when undertaking spraying.
Councillor?
Yeah, just noting that I will be putting together an alternate for this item as well. Happy to relay with yourself, Mr. Mayor, make sure that we're all on the same page. Perhaps some of the things can be melded together. But yeah, I'll have more to say in the meeting of council.
Thank you, Councillor. There's a number of people who indicated earlier they were going to speak, so I've got Councillor Gould, then Councillor Hill. Councillor Gould.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions, but you covered a few of them as well, so it's just a short one here. What pre-emergent was looked at or recommended in the report? I couldn't find a name.
Director?
I'll ask the Manager, Parks and Natural Environment, to provide that information, Mr. Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we continually review, and it sort of refers back a bit to Councillor O'Neill's previous question. We always review our methodologies, the technology, different chemicals as they come out. So we don't wait for an actual period of time before we actually undertake reviews of different technologies and chemicals, etc. We understand that Esplanade was that trial was didn't go any further after, even though it was successful in undertaking the area where we actually undertook the work. There have been advancements in pre-emergence since that trial, and the one that we are currently looking at is an unscheduled poison, which is basically non-toxic to humans, animals, etc. The product is Galligan. It's used by other local government authorities and is currently used by our contractors in other local government authorities as well.
Thank you. Would you be able to include some information on that then in the pack? Is that okay? Yeah?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you. And there was just another question, if you don't mind. Thank you. The feasibility report refers to this unidentified redacted report that the city provided the consultants. Is that right? Based on another local government's 2021 trial as evidence supporting the use of pre-emergent herbicides. I was wondering if it was possible to know a bit more about what that report was. So it looked like we gave these people some information and that's how they came up with this.
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we have managed to have a networkings with other local government authorities, and when we were looking at this, I put a call out. There's a couple of local government authorities were actually doing trials, different trials in the area. One particular local government who's it was a confidential report, so we couldn't actually say who it was, but we're actually undertaking trials using pre-emergent, and that actual local government is using those chemicals today in their weed control on road verges, etc.
Okay, thank you. And we have heard this evening from a couple of deputations, which were excellent. So we're quite fortunate to have a lot of these volunteer groups doing a lot of stuff for us. So do we ever confer with them when we're making up reports like this?
Director?
Or we wait for them to sort of come and do a deputation? Do we ever sort of seek them out to get information? It seems that we've got, like with the coastal management plan, a lot of residents came out with all these expertise. We seem to have some great expertise in our community. Do we seek them out? Yeah.
Director?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. The development of the city's weed management plan went through the community reference group with a number of representations there, as well as a full community consultation process as part of the development of the process. So yes, there was a full consultation process as part of the development. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Councillor Hill.
Yes, thanks through you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd just like to ask regarding the consultant's report, could I just check with the relevant directorate as to the degree of comfort with that report, the satisfaction with that report, and any comments on the report in general would be appreciated. Thank you.
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we had some questions in the past about why bringing an external consultant to assist in developing that. I think it was quite important to actually get an independent review of the options that we can present to council and not just the city officers' view. The city officers most probably would, in some instances, potentially disagree with the consultant in terms of some of the options that the consultant has put forward, but to ensure that it is an impartial, independent report, that is the report presented by the consultant. I think in terms of some of the options available, the city would question some of the viability, but again, the consultant has identified the options that can be considered by council and hence the report to council for your consideration.
Yes, thanks. I just have one more question, and I do not wish to enter into anything confidential, but this report has, the actual consultant's report has been provided to elected members at an earlier date and feedback was requested. I guess I will go back at some former notes. I haven't done that as yet, but I would appreciate an understanding of whether any changes were made to the consultant's report or indeed to this report tonight based on feedback from elected members a few months ago. Thank you.
Director?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll take the question on notice and provide in the pack.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Pizzi?
Yeah, it's my understanding that Gulligan is very hazardous to aquatic and environmental aquatic life. Are we concerned about that with our waterways?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The safety data sheets will always look at the worst case scenario where you're looking at a chemical which has not been mixed. It's in its raw form, concentrate, and it's spilt. And you will get the same type of reaction with if there's a petrol spill, oil being washed off roads, that type of scenario as well. When we spray to the schedule, which is on the label, and you're using a diluted amount of chemical. It actually binds to the soil, and so where we'd be using it was also with weed seeker technology, that it's actually directing straight at the actual plant itself. Where we use it on the median strips at the back of curb, it'll be a strip which will go along, and the idea being that we will reduce the amount of glyphosate being required, because we will actually start getting on top of the seed bank, because it stops the seeds from germinating in the first place. And over time, we might be able to reduce how much of that we use as well, because we actually get the seed bank under control.
Councillor?
We heard tonight that there are certain areas where we can't control people weeding, so those seeds will always generate and then seed in our areas. So do we think that we'll actually be able to reduce spraying and reduce that seed when we can't stop every weed in every yard and other people's neighbours?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Norman did comment today on actually hand weeding and vegetation back into bare areas. That is, we are mindful that these weeds compete with natural vegetation, and so by actually being able to control the spray, being able to stop the seeds from germinating, gives every chance for the natural vegetation to re-establish, which will then help reduce the amount of grasses and that grow. But yes, you're right, we do have large tracts of land which are operated by other entities. We at NICO, Director Claassen has indicated that we do have conversations with these identities to actually look at fire control and fire mitigation actions. So hopefully over time we will continue to be vigilant and we'll reduce the amount of weeds that we are dealing with.
Councillor?
Okay, so we're going to reduce the weeds that we're dealing with, but replacing glyphosate with a pre-emergent, we'll have to spray the pre-emergent twice a year, and we are going to get seeding from other places, and even using pinpoint technology that you're using. How are we reducing chemical weed spraying by replacing glyphosate with a pre-emergent?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the actual, in the first instance, the pre-emergent will be mixed with glyphosate and actually sprayed at the same time, so the glyphosate would give it a knockdown straight away, just to kill whatever plants are there currently. The pre-emergent sits there in the soil for up to 6 months and stops the seeds from germinating. At this, our last season just gone, we just about sprayed 4 times for glyphosate. With glyphosate, we had unseasonal weather. We also are now dealing with fleabane, which is a spring germinating weed through summer, which 5-6 years ago we never had to deal with. It's probably the most unsightly weed that we have, and mowing it doesn't control it. It just stays dormant in the ground and just keeps growing. So we really need to control that by knocking it down and actually getting a pre-emerge to stop it from growing in the first place.
Councillor?
Thanks for that. The hazard statement actually says H410, very toxic to aquatic life and long-lasting effects, and it takes 40 days to reduce in the soil. So I understand you're going to use it as little as you can and try and reduce runoff to water areas, but how are you going to prevent it being very toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects?
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, by using the product as specified in the safety label in the MSD sheet, there are procedures and processes in place for actually spraying the chemicals. The chemical companies or the contractors or ourselves are all trained and have got the necessary qualifications, and so we only spray the minimum amount that we need. There is no overspray as such, and we also spray when it's the ideal weather conditions to do so.
Councillor?
So we'll mitigate the risk to aquatic life, but we're not going to prevent damage to aquatic life. Is that correct? There will still be runoff and risk of that happening, well, probability that will happen. Is that fair to say or not?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, by using the MS data sheets and actually doing what we are supposed to do and licensed to do, we mitigate those risks. Nothing is perfect, obviously, but by undertaking these works, and it is really no different to someone washing out they've done some painting at home, washing thinners down the drain. We only spray, and I think we're working it out, like 0.03 of a mil per metre lineal length of concentrate twice a year at most, if with the pre-emergent. It is very minimal, the amount of chemical that we are talking with.
So does the city know the amount of chemical required that would cause to be very toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects?
Director?
Through Mr. Mayor, as the Manager Parks and Natural Environment has indicated, the assessment of the use of the chemical you're referring to, Councillor Pizzi, is undertaken by the APVMA and the Department of Health. Those MSDSs, or the material safety data sheets, identify specifically in what circumstances and how you would apply a product, and that's what the city is using. It's not for the city to determine what level of application will be toxic. That is with the regulator, and that's why that is set up by the federal government to actually have a regulator in place to ensure they undertake the assessments to enable the safe use of these products within Australia. I think understanding that and hence the manager is referring to strict compliance, and we don't have a choice, strict compliance with the material safety data sheets, and whenever we're applying any chemical product. Doesn't matter if it's a cleaning product, if it's a product that we use for weed control or any other chemical product, it's in accordance with what's determined that is a safe approach.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, can I ask another question?
I think looking at the time is that it's about 10 to 9 at this point.
I just have one more.
Yeah, so I'll just finish what I'm saying is that it is about 10 to 9, so I think it's probably about time that we wrap up on this item so we can get to other items on the agenda tonight as well. So we'll go to your question, and then I'll quickly see if there's anybody else who hasn't asked questions on this item, and then we'll probably need to move on the agenda. Councillor Pizzi.
Yeah, so what I was saying was I appreciate that the city doesn't decide what the safety level of the product is, that is decided by other departments. But can the city provide to us then what level of application is safe to aquatic life before the council meeting?
Director?
Mr. Mayor, the city is happy to provide councillors with a copy of the MSDS, the material safety data sheet.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, no, that wasn't what I was requesting. I was requesting what level of spray could damage aquatic life in the area.
The CEO is going to take the question.
Thank you, I'll take that one. I think to support the director, it's been made very clear that that's not the role of council. We're not in a position to provide you that information. That's a federal government decision, and that they conduct the assessments on whether this chemical is safe and at what levels it's safe. I think what's been made quite clear is that we're proposing to use this chemical at the level that's been approved. Asking us to make a determination of what's safe for aquatic life is way beyond the technical expertise of a local government, and I'm not sure it's appropriate for us to be providing that information.
Thank you. Do any other elected members who have not asked a question on this wish to? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In terms of our use of glyphosate, do we have to report to any other authority how much we use every year, directly or through contractors?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, unlike, say, our bore water licence, which we need to report to DEWA, we do not need to report on how much glyphosate the city uses. We do that internally through the State of the Environment report.
Deputy Mayor.
So are we able to be provided, does that detailed usage, the litres of glyphosate used every year openly reported within that State of the Environment report?
Through you, Mr Mayor, as from this year in the business unit plan, we have actually increased the level of reporting, so we will be able to detail exactly how much glyphosate the contractor, the city uses. In saying that, we'll be able to also highlight how much litrage other chemicals we use as well.
So, do we have those records for the last 5 years?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I know if we will have the cities, what we have in store and what we've used ourselves, we would need to ask the various contract reviews over the last 5 years to actually get that.
As part of their contracts, when we place them, do we put any determination in terms of number of sprays, but an estimated usage that would be required to meet that contractual obligation?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the contract is based on a schedule of rates. That schedule of rates is determined by the city depending on environmental conditions and so forth. The contractor is required to use the correct amount of chemical as per the MSD safety data sheets.
Okay. And the dyes that the contractors use, do we provide those or do they provide their own?
In the contract is stipulated what dye they need to use and at what concentration.
Thank you.
Any final questions from elected members who have not asked questions?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Count.
Just really quickly, roughly what do you expect would the cost be for, I guess, the labour versus the material for the spraying, essentially, like through PAWs, etc.? Labour being maybe 80%? That's my question.
Director.
We'll need to take the question on notice, see if we can do an estimate of that.
Thank you. And then another one, I just noticed in the reduction, it's, look, I support the process of reducing it, but it only seems to use steam and pre-emergent herbicide. Is there any indication that would also include like mechanical slashing, etc., in addition to?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as we mentioned earlier, through the Integrated Weed Management Plan, mowing is an integral part of our weed management. Marmion Avenue, all the side verges, the back streets, they're all under contract to be mown. The only spraying that occurs in those areas is actually the curb lines. There is no spraying. And I think there's some misconception as well in regards to the map that was shown today up on the screen. Whilst it shows the park that was being sprayed for glyphosate, it's not the park that's being sprayed. It's only elements within the park, which is curb lines, a bit of paving and around the trees. But limitations in the mapping tool means we can't actually pull that exact information out.
I guess more in reference to the PAWs, would that be manual slashing as opposed to glyphosate instead of, say, steam weeding the sides of the PAWs?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the steam weeding is, it's in the report as being up to that 70% to actually include steaming in through that. So the steaming of PAWs is a viable, it is an alternative, viable though, it's cost prohibitive currently. I think what we are looking at with bringing the steam in-house. The contractors' costs of 550,000 currently. They're not working at the city full-time. They come and they go and they do their bits and pieces elsewhere. We will have these 2 machines for us full-time. So we'll not only be able to do what we're currently doing, we'll then explore how we might be able to increase the other areas and see where we can get the most value with our in-house operation.
Councillor?
Great, thank you. No, in support of bringing that in-house for the cost savings. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final members who have not asked any questions on this? Okay, thank you. I know that there's a number of members who've indicated they'd like to go for more questions, but have already asked questions. So you can all email them in advance of the council meeting, and I'm sure the officers will do their best to make sure that they're answered. I'm just quite mindful about us moving on, given it's nearly 9 o'clock and we've got quite a few other items still on. Still another 12 items on tonight's agenda. So I'll be moving back to the ordinary list of items on tonight's agenda. So we'll first move to item 12.2. Any questions on the subdivision and development applications? No, thank you. Item 12.3, the execution of documents. No, thank you. Item 12.4 is not being dealt with tonight. Item 12.5, Project Axiom. Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Sorry,
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Yes.
As the CEO
sorry, Councillor
obviously...
Chester. Sorry, just hang on.
The presentation on this item first.
Oh, yes, that's correct. Presentation. We'll just hold off from your question, but we'll go to the presentation first. Yep. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. So the purpose of this report is to seek Council's endorsement of the final statement of works for the implementation of Dynamics 365 with the city's implementation partner 365 Solutions, and approve the remainder of the actions to complete the project. I would like to reiterate that the city is currently on an unsupported business platform that includes the rates module, critical parts of the CRM module, the customer request module, works and assets module, and the finance module. Following the decision of Council in April 2026, the City undertook a number of actions to finalise the Statement of Works and include the cost as shown in the confidential attachment 1 and 2. The City also engaged directly with Microsoft representatives to undertake a review of the proposed implementation plan and the plan and associated project plan. As part of this engagement, Microsoft assessed the implementation plan and the project plan against Microsoft's best practice principles, including solution design, system integration, scalability and overall technical feasibility. Microsoft has confirmed that the plan is in line with how the City can best leverage the Microsoft platform. Over the last couple of months, the team has made significant progress in the development of the finance and operations modules and are expecting a working solution for the base module to be ready by the start of October. Again, this is a major step in relation to mitigating the risks for the City of currently operating on its unsupported system. The City therefore recommends that Council approves the full Statement of Works, which would be a major step forward for the City to enable the team to develop the platform in the most efficient way possible, which will of course in turn provide tangible benefits to the community. And I'm happy to field questions and be assisted by Mr. Brinkley as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll go to Councillor Chester first.
Actually, I was just about to ask the CEO to praise the result of the engagement with the team from Microsoft, which he just did. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions? Councillor Vinciula.
Thank you. Through you, just a short one from me. Just timeline perspective, obviously there was with the transition with the new team and how things are progressing. From a timeline, are we on track or can we improve the timeline and get it back to the original projections? Where do we sit just on a timeline outside of that? It sounds great.
Mr. Brinkley.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The timelines are very similar to what we presented to you in April. We still anticipate to have the Tech 1 replaced by June 2028. We are on track for that. As the CEO described, we're making good progress, particularly in the finance area. We will have a working solution by October, the first week of October. So that really does mitigate one of the major risks the City currently has, that if the current platform does fall over, we will have a working solution by October.
Thank you.
Councillor. Yep. Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just in relation to the costs, I guess for the 22-25 and 25-26, so we've spent 13.4 million, and then for 26-27 and 27-28, there's another 12 million. So does that wrap up the project, and that would be perhaps coming to a cost of about 26.1 million?
Go to Mr Brinkley.
Thank you for the question. Through you, yes. So that will wrap up the project and will take us through to being able to switch off Tech 1 and replace all functionality that is currently being used in Tech 1.
And then following on from that, just be recurrent expenditure for a licence and so forth like that. No more capital type works.
Mr CEO.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor. So that will bring to conclusion the items that have been presented to Council until this point. There will be some further work undertaken during this period of time to identify any further opportunities to really leverage this IT investment, which is a significant one, to see if there's further opportunities to gain further efficiencies for the organisation and to improve services for our community.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions on this item? No? In that case, we'll move on. Item 12.6. Council decisions. Any questions? No. Item 12.7, corporate business plan. Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm looking at page 200 of the attachments, and I have a question about the Greenwood North East cluster revitalisation, and the amount quoted here is approaching $500,000, and my question is that for the whole cluster of parks or just Hartley Park by itself? Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Director Carson.
Through Mr Mayor, that is the cost for the current financial year. If you actually look at the more detailed report, and I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get that page. The overall project cost is indicated there. I'm just trying to get to that page now. Do you know where that is, Michael? On stamp page 220, Councillor Chester, the overall project for the 3 cluster parks is around $950,000, as I've indicated for the current financial year, the $500,000.
Thank you for that. And one further question, further down page 200, smart bore water meter connections. In what way are they smart? Are they just measuring the drawdown on the aquifer or other information?
Director?
No, they're a bit smarter than that, but I'll ask the Manager Parks and Natural Environment to explain to you exactly what it actually measures and how it actually improves our operations.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the part of the initiative which we got sponsorship from the state government for was to actually install the smart water meters. Currently, as part of our requirement, we need to report on our monthly and yearly consumption of groundwater. That was a manual process where staff would actually go out every month and read the meters. This changes to an automatic process where at the end of the month we can download the information straight into our software system and be able to report it more efficiently.
Yeah, time saving, I expect. Thank you for that information.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions on this item? No. Thank you. We then move to item 12.8, list of payments. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've sent in a list as normal. However, just a couple that I did want to discuss a little bit further tonight. Page 238, EF 139519, the Art Collective WA, $6,800. I'm just wondering what that was. Was this a purchase, and who made the decision to make this purchase when we're trying to save costs?
Yeah. We'll go to the Acting Director O'Neill.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll take that question on notice and provide further details.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. Just another one there. Previously, I discussed this one a few months ago, and it's appeared again from Buggy Buddies Proprietary Limited. It's only $108.90, but I believe the last time it was referenced that it's influencer paid advertising. I'm just wondering if in the information pack we could get some information just demonstrating clear numbers of what the city's actually getting in return for this service, if I could.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. I'll go to Acting Director O'Neill.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll take this one on notice as well and provide a response in the pack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor
And
O'Neill.
just finally, both of them are on page 257, EF 139483 and EF 139182. The two transactions, one is for a fat zebra at $1,024.97, and the second one is $1,000 for Feed the Tiger. And I don't know what these are, and I'd like some detailed information as to what they are and what this does for the city, because I don't think we have a zoo.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. We'll go to Acting Director O'Neill.
Through you, Mr Mayor, in relation to VAT Zebra, this is our online payment gateway. Each transaction costs us 30 cents, and we also pay a monthly fee for the IVR, which is our 1300 rates number that we take our credit card payments. In relation to the other one, the feed the, oh, didn't quite catch that. I'll pass to my director.
We'll go to the Director for Planning.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr Mayor. The Feed the Tiger payment of $1,000 is for an urban designer who chairs a design review panel meeting. So they're paid to be on the panel, and their fee is $250 per hour. That's just his company name. So that's a payment to the urban designer who chairs the panel.
Thank you, Director. Councillor O'Neill.
Okay, thank you. Just in reference to the Fat Zebra one, that's a name. How long have we been receiving this service? Because I don't remember seeing this anywhere previously.
Acting Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor. I can't remember when they changed the name. They used to be called Secure Pay, but I'll provide that detail in the pack.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any final questions on the list of payments? Thank you, councillors. We then move to item 1210, but not the confidential attachment. Sorry? Oh, sorry, 12.9, sorry. Financial activity statements. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just something in reference from page 337 on the attachments there. It's something that I've discussed before, and there's some big numbers on here. There's a total in the rewards and recognition amounts there, totaling $66,484 that's been billed to the ratepayer. Is that a full financial year amount, or is this a running amount for how long? Can you please explain that one a little bit further before I continue?
Thank you. Who would take that question? Acting Director O'Neill. Yep.
Through you, Mr Mayor. The variance that's quoted in the report is the year to date. So this is comparing the actual expenditure versus our revised budget. I can provide the breakdown, further detail by business unit, and also our rewards and recognition policy.
Thank you. So is that year to date for this financial year or the
Correct.
previous?
Last financial year.
Last financial year. Okay, all right, no worries. Okay, then just in relation to that there, and what's written down on page 337 there, I'd like from the city, if I could, happy to take it all on notice, that we could get an understanding, just for elected members, onto what we're receiving over and above standard deliveries that a normal wage or salary should guarantee ordinarily for an employee. I'm just wondering what we're benefiting, what the ratepayers are benefiting from the city. Happy to take it all on notice with an explanation.
I think we'll go to the Acting Director. I think this one's probably on notice. It's a little subjective. Acting
Yes.
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, if I can take this question on notice.
Thank you. Councillor. Councillor Chester.
Yes, Mr Mayor, with your indulgence, could we briefly go back to 12.8? I missed a question there.
We'll deal with 12.9 and then we'll just briefly have
thank
your
you.
question. 12.9, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Go to page 340 of the report. And section 19 on that page, capital projects. Just wonder if we get some additional information around the Unified Security Management System project, 920K, which was not delivered. So what's the plan there and what it does? The Integrated Parking and Compliance Management System, 727K, and the Public Art, 446K.
Acting Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll take those questions on notice and provide some details in the pack.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
As part of the information, could we be provided with the estimated ongoing annual costs of each of those projects? I'm assuming that's the initial capital cost, but what would be the ongoing maintenance associated with it? Thank you.
Acting Director.
I'll also take those questions on notice.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor. Any final questions on this one? Just one from me on page 341, the notes that are there. So it goes on 21, 22, 24, 25, note 23, which I think was related to the Ocean Reef Marina, appears to be missing. Acting Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, that is a mistake. They'll be fixed.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any final questions? No. Thank you. Councillor Chester, your one question on 12.8.
Thank you. Page 244, halfway down the page, Gladden WA Proprietary Limited, $962.50 for lip balm cube. I'm very curious.
Acting Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll take this one on notice.
Thank you. We'll then move on to item 12.10, the supply of mobile garage bins. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if the city could tell me, is this the existing repair or mobile repair company that we have been using?
Director.
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, it's not. It's actually the supplier of the spare parts, the company we're using for the repairs as part of the solar contract.
Thank you. Any final questions on 12.10? Item 12.11 then, civil works for Davidson Terrace City Centre, place activation. No, thank you. Item 12.12, petition regarding play equipment. Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I note that on page 84 of the agenda, Pennystone Park is just over 100 metres from Sherrington. And having coached football on Pennystone for a few years, I recall there's a playground on Pennystone, which I think is a play station. Is that in good nick?
Director.
Through Mr Mayor, yes, from memory that play space was constructed when we did the redevelopment of Pennystone Park, so it would have been in the last 2017, I've just been told.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on this item? Thank you. We then move to item 12.14, Heathridge Park redevelopment project. Any questions on this item? Yeah. Yeah, there's a presentation.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Hill. And then the presentation.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. May I continue? The purpose of this report is for Council to receive an update on the Heathridge Park redevelopment project as it has progressed from master planning stage and to endorse the stage construction approach proposed to deliver this important project for the Heathridge community and the city as a whole. The redevelopment of Heathridge Park has been considered by the city for several years as the current infrastructure has limited functionality and does not meet the needs of the existing or potential future user groups. This includes specific deficiencies associated with the change rooms, the community storage, meeting room spaces, and open space and building accessibility. At any time, there are between 40 and 50 user groups that hire or lease the facilities at Heathridge Park on a regular basis. Of this, there are 16 sporting and recreational clubs with over 3,600 registered members. At its meeting held in April 2024, Council considered the concept design options and requested that the City undertake community consultation on option 2 and 3. Following the community consultation process, Council considered a report on Heathridge Park redevelopment in December 2024 and supported design option 3 as detailed in this report, with a number of aspects to be further investigated, which include provision of additional car parking, relocation review of the building design to allow retention of existing vegetation, and the review of the building design to retain 2 tennis courts, providing a total of 12 tennis courts. The endorsed project had a pre-concept estimate of $15.7 million, which excluded the additional items from the council resolution noted above, and was supported at the time by a $2.5 million state government election commitment. Since that time, the city has also received approval of $5 million from the federal government to support the new community sporting facility. The city has developed an implementation plan to address the actions arising from council decision in December 24, while taking into consideration the city's current financial position, the current condition and functional performance of all buildings, and optimization of the long-term sustainability of the services to be provided at this specific location. The implementation plan process included initial site survey works and a geotechnical assessment to support the development of a concept design for the new community sporting facility and to undertake an external QS estimate. This process identified that appropriate budget contingencies would be required to be included in the overall project cost estimate for items detailed in this report, which could only be assessed and appropriately accounted for during the detailed design process. The implementation plan has been broken into 4 key stages, which aligns with the most practical delivery approach and the available funding allocations, noting that there is still a funding shortfall of approximately $8 million for stage 1. The city is therefore seeking council endorsement of the stage delivery of Heathridge Park redevelopment project and to progress the concept design for the entire project and detailed design and procurement process for stage 1 during the 2026-27 financial year, and also develop further advocacy position for future funding opportunities required to ensure delivery of stage 1 and the remaining stages of the project. Happy to take questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Any questions on this item? I'll go to the ward councillors first. Councillor Mercer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question about the advocacy. Have you started putting a bit of a plan together of who you're going to target for advocacy, state, federal funding?
Director?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, we've started to identify specific options, potential funding opportunities. However, has not formalised any of that, waiting approval from council to progress. But I know the team has already identified through our grants officer potential options that can be explored.
Councillor Gould.
Yes, thank you. I think I've got a councillor request in the mix anyway about a couple of the other user groups. So I'm assuming that after the presentation that we had with those user groups, we're going to continue that open dialogue and what have you. Yeah, that's great. No, thank you. I was happy with that.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. Director, do you want to add to?
I could just confirm, yes, that's correct.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Chester, were you asking a question on this item?
No, I don't think I had anything in mind.
Thank you. Any further questions on this one? Councillor Pizzi, then Vincula. Councillor Pizzi.
Yes, thank you. So there's an $8 million shortfall for stage 1. What is the overall shortfall for the project?
Director?
through you, Mr. Mayor, as identified in the report, Stage 1's got an $8 million unfunded component. On the same page of the report, there's a specific overall cost estimate based on very early concepts of around $29 million, so unfunded component of $19 million. Hence the recommendation, sorry, Mr. Mayor, hence the recommendation from the office to deliver this in a staged approach as we can better align the available funding, noting that we've got the federal ML CIP projects, which is $5 million and the $2.5 million from the state election.
Thank you. Councillor Pizzi.
Thank you for that confirmation. I'm just wondering, so we've got an $8 million shortfall just for the beginning of this project and unfunded for a further possible $11 million. I'm just wondering why the city is not recommending deferral like they have for the Surf Life Saving Club when that is a $10 million shortfall. So why are we why is the advice different for this club than it is for the Surf Club?
The CEO is going to take the question. Mr. CEO.
I think, to be clear and just for clarity, the officers are not recommending a deferral of the Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question if you'd like. So officers are recommending we go back to the drawing board with the Surf Club, is that correct?
Director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the officer's recommendation is that we review the scope of the project to align it with the available funding, noting that that project was assumed fully funded. The Heathridge Park redevelopment project was never fully funded. It was a project that is being delivered and staged over a period of time, and hence the recommendation is that we look at stage 1 in a staged delivery approach versus a full delivery of the project, which it cannot afford. As part of the confidential briefing we did to elected members at the strategy session, we looked at the Guy Daniel Club rooms and the provision of that as a renewal component of this project. That potentially could be funded out of the Asset Renewal Reserve, subject to available funding. But as I said, we need to progress this project further to then get a clear understanding of the cost and then look at the potential available funding and other funding opportunities for this project and only stage 1 of the project.
Councillor.
Thank you for providing clarification on where the funding shortfalls are. So we still have an $8 million shortfall for this stage 1 part, and I do understand why we need to replace that facility and how many users use it. But I am just wondering why there is a difference in advice to the Surf Club to Heathridge when we've got $10 million at the Surf Club and $8 million shortfall there. I'm just wondering why one can commence and the other one doesn't.
Director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, none of these projects we're recommending to council to commence construction. That's no different between the two projects. In terms of the Sorrento Surf Life Saving project, we're looking at the rescoping of the project to fit within the available funding. In terms of the Heathridge project, we're not even close to that process yet. What we are recommending to council is that instead of trying to deliver a $29 million project for the overall Heathridge redevelopment, that we approach this project in a staged implementation plan. As part of that is looking at stage 1 only and progressing that to get a better understanding of the overall cost and see what additional grant funding might be available for the project. So I'm struggling to see the concern raised that we've got a different approach. Yes, it is a different approach. The one project you have to deliver the full Sorrento Surf Life Saving Club. As for Heathridge Park, we believe that an unphased approach over a number of stages would be a better delivery model.
Councillor.
Thanks for that clarification. It's helpful. Can I just ask, for this initial phase, the $8 million shortfall, where are we looking at finding that?
Director Claassen.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, as I've indicated to a question from Councillor Mercer, the city is through its grant officer identifying potential grant funding opportunities, and also as part of this process, the Guy Daniel Club Room was originally identified as a potential refurbishment based on the assessment undertaken by the city. And the current scenario, it is believed that it would be a better outcome overall to actually include the redevelopment of that as part of the stage one and not refurbish Guy Daniels. That building would be very difficult to get it in a functional state, where we believe that overall the redevelopment would be a better option. The refurbishment was never part of stage one. That would have been funded out of the Asset Renewal Reserve. So what we would look at is if we can fund part of the shortfall out of the Asset Renewal Reserve, being the replacement of the Guy Daniel Club Room, and seek additional external grant funding to fund the difference in the shortfall.
Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it was Councillor Vinciulo next.
Withdraw, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Hill.
Yes, thanks through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at page 111 on my PDF of tonight's agenda, and I'm looking at key communication risks and bullet point 3, grant acquittal deadlines. So the report includes some commentary there about deadlines applied to state and federal grants, and also gives us the information that the officer's recommendation is in part designed to make sure that we comply with those deadlines. Can I just confirm that that assumption is correct? Thank you.
Go to Director Claassen.
I'll take the question on notice and put it in a pack, but from memory, and I might just check here with the manager asset management, the grant acquittal needs to be undertaken by June 2029, so there's pretty generous allocation of time to deliver that project. Obviously, if we do not start now, and hence we want to bring this recommendation to council to actually progress stage one to enable us to meet those deadlines of June 2029.
Thank you. And if I may just ask a follow-up question, just because elected members may be considering alternatives, I'm just keen for those dates to be confirmed in the information in the pack. But I guess the extended question is, would amendments to the schedule and dates for from the Rock Office's recommendation potentially jeopardise some of those funding commitments from state and federal? Thank you.
As I've indicated, the funding deadline is June 2029. I might, if Mr. Mayor, with your indulgence, I'll ask the manager asset management just to comment. He's more across the detail on that than on myself.
And thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. As part of our two grant submissions there for the state and the federal funding, we've included the preliminary timelines as part of this implementation plan. So the state government and the federal government agencies are aware of those timelines that meet up with that 30 June 2029 sort of timelines. Any changes to that implementation plan would have to be reported back to both parties, and then they would address, obviously, if there's any delays from there as part of that process.
Thank you. I think you can understand why I asked the question. Appreciate if the information can be confirmed in the pack. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. I've got one which might be better taken on notice, but if it's possible to be answered. Is there a significant reputational risk for the city if we cannot deliver some of these projects where we've received large state and federal grant funding? Given this one here, we've received $5 million from the feds, 2.5 from the state. If we cannot deliver this project, is this actually going to put our reputation at risk? That if for us, that it then limits our ability to receive future funding from state and federal members and the current Labor government. Mr. CEO.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I think it's fair to say when funding bodies, wherever they're federal government, state government or other entities are considering who they give their money to, they do look at their previous track record of delivery. So it's important that we get these projects on track, keep to the timelines that are agreed, particularly those that have got committed funds against funding agreements or publicly announced timelines that we've previously agreed to. It's important that we keep to times if we want to be successful with future grants.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Any final questions on this item? No? Okay, that brings to an end the reports section of tonight's agenda. Then move to item 13. Are there any reports from committees, Mr. CEO?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any reports from the Chief Executive Officer?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Urgent business will be dealt with at the ordinary meeting held on the 25th. Are there any elected members who wish to flag their intent to raise a notice of motion for the next council meeting? I have one, and I believe the Deputy Mayor might. Okay, that then concludes tonight's briefing session at 9:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for attending.